dropped the big FU yesterday. Here is the scene, and we got some more reporting on this from the Gateway Pundit. Trump drops a presidential FU, flipping off a heckler who shouted a slur at him as he was walking through a Ford plant in Michigan. And there have been some consequences for that employee, that heckler. And the White House has come out and defended the president. How dare you lob epithets his direction and expect that there will be no consequences? Nobody is above the FU. Okay, that's how this works. So Trump was in Michigan yesterday, touring an F-150 plant in Dearborn, delivering remarks to the Detroit Economic Club. Visited the Ford plant previously, where he got a warm welcome. Thanks for coming, Mr. President. I appreciate you being here so that we can have strength and growth and productivity in conjunction with your administration. Let's work together for our business and for America. So the president took selfies with some workers as he made his way through the plant. However, at one point, a disgruntled worker heckled the president as he walked with Ford executive chairman Bill Ford Jr. So he's screaming both at the president and the chairman of Ford. Probably not a smart strategy. Now, Trump shot back after he screamed at him. He shouted, "You're a PDF file protector." Trump was touring the plant. Trump didn't take kindly to those words. He shot back with the middle finger, and he appeared to say or mouth, "F you, F you, F you, punk." White House spokesman Stephen Chung defended Trump. He said a lunatic was wildly screaming expletives in a fit of rage, and the president gave an appropriate and unambiguous response. And that's for sure. Here's what the president looked like yesterday walking through the Ford plant. Let's make sure we're zoomed in nice and tight on this one. Right there. Oh, you can see some real energy in the president's face right there. Let's turn this volume up and get back on this one. Oh. He said right there a hard FU. And there's a theory that your FU and your flipping off, they don't really matter unless you really can kind of communicate the tension in your hand and in your face. So when you're really, cocking one of these back and cocking one of these out, you want to make sure that you can see your white knuckles, right? You see the veins popping out. You're like, and then you can just see everyone's like, whoa, that dude means it. President nailed that. 10 out of 10, 100%. You can even see it on the face. This is a man who knows how to use his tool right there. Look at that right there. He's doing one of these. It's not like an FU with your head down. It's it's a good one. And of course, if somebody's going to call you a PDF file, that's not good. You don't take kindly to those words. You have to respond back to that with some force. Right there, there's another scene right there. Oh man, I wish we had high resolution photos of this. President is not happy, legitimately not happy. And to be honest with you, what is he going to do about it? Because a lot of people are saying the same thing as well. And how do you combat that phrase or combat that accusation if you're the president? Do you have Pam Bondi release more files? Do you get rid of Pam Bondi and put in somebody in there who will release more files or handle the accusations better and disclose more documents more quickly? In other words, will there be political consequences or changes because the president got this accusation directly to his face? And I don't know if he has gotten that accusation directly to his face historically, but he didn't take kindly to that, nor should he. Anybody accuses you of something like that, then you can just tell them literally to F off. So the White House responded. They have a full statement on this. They said Trump took office on a promise to revitalize the American auto industry, and after just 1 year, he has unquestionably delivered. Today, as Trump visits Michigan and tours the home to the assembly of Ford's iconic F-150, which I used to drive, which was a great truck, the nation celebrates the U.S. auto industry's robust resurgence under his leadership. Now, under Trump and his America First agenda, the American auto industry is primed for unprecedented expansion. This past year marked the strongest year for new vehicle sales since 2019. Ford achieved its best annual sales in 6 years. GM reported soaring overall vehicle sales with its strongest performance in decades, And Stellantis saw Jeep sales also rise. Now, new data indicates that prices for both new and used vehicles have decreased since Trump came in. Gas is at its lowest price in 5 years. Now, additionally, for the first time, you can also deduct interest on auto loans for vehicles made in America, positioning the market for even greater demand. Now, Trump's policies have catalyzed big investments for leading automakers, like a bunch of them. And contrary to fake news, Trump's tariffs have had no impact on vehicle prices, while his Section 232 tariffs on heavy-duty trucks have instead fueled a revival in domestic manufacturing, with Ford CEO Jim Farley calling it a really big deal. Even Bloomberg noted, saying despite many analysts participating and anticipating a bump up in prices for 2026 models, that just really hasn't happened. So Trump reversed course on Biden's onerous era fuel economy standards that would have added nearly $1,000 of a cost into operating any new vehicle, delivered billions in savings to consumers. And so now we're also allowing tiny cars to come in and rescinded state level vehicle mandates for electric vehicles and more. And so this is now leading to common sense and affordability. And that guy was a real jerk. So he got the presidential FU, which is quite an honor, by the way. And evidently, he's now raising money. And I thought that he was fired. Let's take a look is to see if that happened. He's been suspended. Here's what we know from Fox 2 Detroit. He's been suspended. Dun, 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 dun. Here's what Fox News in Detroit is reporting. Said video from inside the Ford Rouge complex showed Trump, apparently pretty apparent, flipping off a worker and swearing after the worker yelled at him. It happened on Tuesday, where the F-150 trucks are assembled. TMZ got the cell phone video where the guy yells PDF file protector. Trump appears to mouth and then puts his middle finger up before walking away. And he may have just been pointing at the new I-beams on the ceiling. Like, wow, these are great. Really nice job, Ford employees. Michigan Democrat Party Chair Curtis Hurdle released a statement, said, I never thought we would see a president welcome Chinese automakers. So it's about the Chinese. And then tell American auto workers to F off. But here we are. All right, here we go. So that's going to be shared all around Michigan. Rashida Tlaib said that this guy was suspended without pay. She identified the guy. His name is TJ Sabula. Said the president responded to TJ with his middle finger, saying, F you and you're fired. Trump said you're fired? That's great. Ford responded by suspending him. Yeah, you can't scream that kind of stuff when your chairman is walking down the aisle with the president. It's unbecoming. I'm sure it's outside of their employee, ethical guidelines. TJ is a father of 2 young children and a husband and is a proud auto union worker. Well, he should have minded his manners. Fox reached out to the UAW to confirm his suspension. Washington Post also reported on this guy, saying that the auto worker told the publication he does not regret what he said. Of course not. Ford Motor responded saying, hey, we had a great event. We're proud of how our employees represented Ford. Statement went on to address this exchange. We've seen the clip you're referring to. One of our core values is respect. Exactly. And we don't condone anyone saying anything inappropriate like that within our facilities. When that happens, we have a process to deal with it, but we don't get into specific personnel matters. Exactly. You have core values. You have rules you have to abide by. You can't just go screaming attacks at people inside your workplace. A lunatic, said Stephen Chung, was wildly screaming expletives. And Trump, of course, said, yeah, he wanted to go there because they assemble 80% of their vehicles domestically. He said, yeah, we want cars built here. We want Mexico and Canada to survive, but we don't need their cars. Bill Ford, the chairman, also said the plant is expanding to 24-hour-a-day type of production. And so he got suspended. We'll see if he's ultimately fired or what. But the president dropping a presidential FU, which is really the highest of all FUs that you could ever possibly accomplish. So that guy, is probably pretty happy about it. I think I saw that he's going to have a GoFundMe, and he's going to be raising money on this. And then, of course, the Democrats in Michigan. And, yep, he's already raised over $280,000. Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of money. Let's see if this is the GoFundMe. Here's another one. Look at that. Beautiful, man. That's nice form right there. Man, you can almost see the white knuckles right there. He meant it. So $114,000 already raised for this guy. So he'll be just fine. He did it for this reason. And the president responded with honor, because you don't allow other people to just lob names at you. Nobody is above the finger. All right, so let's continue on. We've got other stories to talk about, including this one and another fun one. Journalist raided by the FBI. Apparently, may have had some classified documents in there. And of course, if you can raid a president's home, then you can go after a journalist. No one's above the law, not even this journalist who thinks that she is. New York Times reporting FBI raided her. They call it in an exceedingly rare, we don't do this. Even investigations of classified disclosures, they searched a reporter's home. They're so special. They can do whatever they want. All these First Amendment protections and privileges. These were the same people that were salivating and gleeful and giddy when Trump had his house raided by FBI agents, and they went through Melania's literal closet and her underwear drawers. So you can spare us when your people are now under scrutiny. Maybe you should be giddy for that as well. But this happened over the evening break. FBI agents conducted a search of a home of a Washington Post reporter on Wednesday as part of what officials said was an investigation into government secrets. It's exceedingly rare. Give me a break. How rare was it to raid Trump's house? Never happened, ever, not one time. Not only was it rare, it was unprecedented, but you guys did it anyways, and you guys were all doing backflips and handsprings because you were so excited about it. We don't allow federal agents to conduct searches at reporters' home. Typically, it's done by going through their phone records or email data. Not anymore. No one's above the law. You guys changed the rules. The reporter, Hannah Nathanson, has spent the past year covering the Trump administration and how he's firing federal workers. Many of the employees shared their anger with her, and she's like the fired bureaucrat whisperer. Great reporting. Wow. A spokesperson for the Washington Post said on Wednesday the publication was monitoring the situation. The paper reported that the search warrant and a judge signed off on it. Amazing. And related FBI affidavit indicated that they were investigating her and this person called Aurelio Perez Lugones, a system administrator in Maryland who has a top secret security clearance and has been accused of gaining access and taking home classified intelligence reports that were found in his lunchbox and basement. Wow.
I'm here.
Jamil Jaffer, the director of the Knight First Amendment Institute, said this is intensely concerning. This could have a chilling effect on legitimate journalism.
All right. So we're going to run out and grab one of the laptops I dropped off yesterday because literally the person right after I dropped it off quit. So I'm going to go grab that laptop and then we'll start doing some dashing. Hey, Missing. Please, everybody, head over to Rumble. Say yo, yo. Yo, what's up? Fuck. Eye appointment went well. My eyes are still a bit dilated, so dealing with that.
They're working in the same interests for the same.
All right, let's get the
same outcome.
you know what? Screw that laptop. I'll get it later. Let's just get to work.
So in a memo announcing the move, Bondi wrote the change was necessary to safeguard classified, privileged, and other sensitive info. And we have a bunch of disgusting bureaucratic trolls who are still in the DOJ, still in all the facets of our federal government, undermining the current administration. So we're not going to tolerate unauthorized disclosures that undermine Trump's policies or victimize government agencies and cause harm to the American people. And so the president was upset about these leaks, and he faced criminal indictment for mishandling classified info. Look, they finally talk about that like halfway in the article. Yeah, that's right. The former president who had presidential prerogative and power and immunity to retain those documents got his home raided. Nobody was screaming about First Amendment privileges there or executive privileges there or how it was unprecedented. They all just said, oh, he broke the law 100 times over every single day. So in the waning days, he got his house raided. But in a typical leak investigation, they say a reporter is not a target for prosecution, but can be viewed as an avenue for obtaining evidence against the person suspected of leaking the info. So they're freaked out. This is a rare thing, and we have to defend our maybe criminal.
They're allowed to quit. You mean the people that work there? Yeah.
Towards publishing criminal or classified documents, just like James.
Actually, this person never even started.
They do it.
They found a different job right before they were supposed to start.
Now, they think since nobody's been in trouble before, that nobody will continue to be in trouble.
They're supposed to actually do orientation tomorrow, so I was dropping that laptop off.
Washington Post reported this.
I guess they found another job.
Also read it over here through MSN.
It's a group facilitator, so they'll hire somebody else within a couple days.
Hannah Nathanson.
It's kind of a pain in the ass.
In Virginia. Federal agents came in, got her devices.
Well, and they're allowed to leave AMA anytime, too, the clients. It's not a lockdown facility.
One of the laptops was her personal computer, the other a Washington Post laptop. Investigators told Nathanson she's not the focus of the probe.
I know what you meant.
We're just investigating Aurelio, another system administrator in Maryland who has a top secret security clearance and has been accused of accessing and taking home classified docs in his lunchbox. Outstanding. In December, Nathanson wrote a first-person account about her experience. She got more than 1,000 sources. All these federal bureaucrats who got fired were reaching out to her. Pam Bondi rescinded a Biden-era policy.
Like I said, if you could, please hop over to
newspaper,
Rumble.
See if you got any more information.
Need the watch time. I looked at my totals last night.
A colleague even calls her the federal government.
We'll be okay. We gotta work on it.
Classified investigations aren't unusual. The search of her home is, and apparently, in a search of her home, or that guy Aurelio's home, authorities found secret documents, including one in a lunchbox. Oh, busted. So an FBI spokesman declined to comment on Wednesday. DOJ officials didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Washington Post said Wednesday it was monitoring and reviewing the situation. They sent emails out to the other guy's lawyers. DOJ over the years has adjusted their policies. Pam Bondi adjusted hers. And Biden was perfectly happy to protect the media, but we don't need to do that anymore. So very interesting details. And we saw some more reporting over here. This is Nathanson and her partner over on X. So the Daily Beast, it looks like, got some more. Cash raids her home. Federal government whisperer, 29-year-old. All devices were checked. This is a Bezos-owned publication. Warrant said law enforcement was investigating this other guy, the systems administrator. And, of course, more about the shooting and other things. But there was another report over from Kyle Cheney at Politico. Let me grab this real quickly and see here what he's saying. Reporting suggests that the search warrant for reporter Hannah Nathanson's home stemmed from Aurelio. He's already been charged. But his criminal complaint doesn't mention any dissemination towards a reporter. So here's what the original guy got charged with in an affidavit filed in the District of Maryland. So they searched her house connected to this guy. I'm a special agent of the FBI, spent a lot of time at the FBI, and I investigate a lot of things. I'm authorized to do this right now. That's why I'm writing this affidavit, because Aurelio, Luis Perez Lugones, he committed the act of unlawful retention of national defense information in violation of the law. The law says you can't do this. You can't have copies of these things. Things are classified.
That's weird. Are you on a guest network?
Sensitive, compartmented information. There are executive orders that say you cannot retain these materials. Now, this guy is a U.S. citizen, born in Miami, Florida. He was a member of the Navy and has top secret security clearance. He's been a government contractor since 2002, and apparently he's a classified documents thief. He also works as a system engineer and technology specialist over at Annapolis Junction in Maryland. He maintains and optimizes computer systems and other things that he does. Been around since at least 2000, has a security clearance holder, takes regular annual training on handling classified materials. In fact, in September of last year, 2025, he took another training that said you can't disclose this stuff without authorization. He has a security clearance. He's not authorized without a work-related reason to access any of these materials. But he started printing it. On several occasions since at least October 25, while having authorized access to these systems, he navigated and searched databases or repositories that had classified.
That's odd.
He viewed intelligence reports.
Well, I have a guest network at my house for guests.
That were created by government agencies. Then, October 28th, he used those databases to search for access.
Mine is set up like a hotel, though. You actually have to open a browser and approve to my terms of service.
Classified top secret.
I mean, there's no password for it, but you have to agree. And it's got a limited speed on it.
Rendered one of the 4 bullet points at the end. You can't see the final point because he got it cropped when he took the screenshot. He also opened an attachment to that report, took screenshots of that, and then dumped those into the Word document. Then he printed the Word document hours before logging off the system for that day. The ineligible bullet point referenced above is also ineligible on the printout. Now, he had no need to know any of this. He had no need to print it or screenshot or any of this. He should have known all of that was illegal. He did not have any authority to remove any of this material from the system. His job duty did not involve accessing anything related to this country. And government clearance holders are aware that all of this is being monitored. We should even monitor their printing activity. He's so dumb. An individual may try to avoid creating an obvious record of this by printing a weird file name, just like writing out chicken to van recipe or something like that, and then you put that in the print. Oh, what's it printing? Oh, it's a chicken recipe. Okay, so how did he avoid it? He took screenshots, and then he put the screenshots in the document. Then he tried to obfuscate the title, making it seem innocuous, but it obviously wasn't. So he got the materials, he printed them, and we reviewed them. Now, he would print innocuous-sounding documents, but they were really filled with classified materials. So he did this a bunch. The report was classified top secret. Then on January 6th, he left his residence for his workplace in his vehicle at 8 a.m. Got to the workplace 8:15, logged into the classified system. Then, around 4 p.m., he left a skiff, then folded those pages in half, them on his desk, then gathered his things, picked up the pages he removed from the notepad, left his desk with the pages in, then left the workplace at 4:25 with a black bag right there. We've got Aurelio was observed looking around the workplace parking garage and then entering his vehicle with the stolen classified materials about some foreign country. We'd love to know what country. After leaving the workplace, he went back to his residence, then did not leave his place the rest of the night. He's like, man, I got the goods.
Oh, yeah, that's probably it.
The next day, left his residence, went back to work at 8 a.m. Logged back.
Yeah, I would make sure you're on your own house's network.
Yellow notepad. Throughout the morning, he looked back and forth between the screen and the system, all while writing on the notepad. Like, how are these guys so
sounds like when it says not private, it's a guest network.
Around 10:52, then he left his desk, left the workplace, went back home. On January 8th, a federal court, 2026, and yeah, this is 26 on January 6th, 2026, so this is new. So this one is old, right? So that one looks like, is that a typo? 2025, is that a typo? That's interesting if it is. Because then they always talk about 2026. January 7th, 2026, he left his residence for the workplace in his vehicle at 8 a.m., then logged into the classified system again. Once again, this is days ago. Got a yellow notepad, looked back and forth. What does that say? Write it down. What does that say? Write it down. Then at 10:52 on January 7th, he left his desk. Then on January 8th, federal court issued a search warrant. We went and got his vehicle. While searching through the areas at his home, in his vehicle, we found, secret documents. Investigators located a lunchbox with a document marked secret. Prior video surveillance also observed him at his cubicle in a skiff, working and looking at the same document on January 8th, 2026. After prior investigation,
all right, got our first call already.
The document and identified the lunchbox as well in both locations. He was seen handling the document in the skiff. We also located another document in the basement. One or more of these documents contained national defense information. It's unlawful to retain those documents, and that got signed in here by Keith Starr, special agent, FBI. So that guy's in trouble. Now the question, of course, is was he giving that material over to this journalist, and what was she doing with it? And What will her defenses be? First Amendment, all sorts of things. This is in Maryland. Hopefully it doesn't get assigned to Judge Cenis out there. But no one's above the law. If they can raid a president's house and go through the first lady's underwear drawer when the president actually has constitutional protections to protect him against things like that because he was the president, then a journalist who is facilitating the leaking of classified information or reporting on classified information that she is also in possession of illegally, no one's above the law. Will watch this.
You should jump to your home one up. That should be your preferred network. But if it keeps happening, just click on the network you were on and say, tell your system to forget it.
No one's above the law, especially
The
all right, so
not private one.
Good update over there. See what they find. Now we've got a little bit of a short update over here. Let's see what this one looks like. Courtesy of Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna. And here is the story. As soon as we get our red pen out here,
in the subway.
Let's get to it. Congress now demanding that a special master be appointed in the Maxwell-Epstein file saga so that someone else can release the files. We've got Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey now asking the judge, saying, hey, judge, if they're not going to release the files, take the files away from them, appoint a special master, an independent person who can then actually run the whole project, and then they can release the files to all of us according to the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Now, the DOJ is saying, hey, we're doing our very best to follow the law. We've got like 400 people that are working on this thing, and we're going as fast as we can. But for Roe and Massey, not good enough. They submit this in the Southern District of New York in the case against Ghislaine Maxwell, which is mostly closed now because she's been convicted.
No problem, brother. But if you could, leave it on Rumble.
The Supreme Court rejected her petition. And now she's filing a petition for a writ of habeas corpus, which is a long shot, but this is attached to the same case. So they write, movements called Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, through their counsel, their lawyers, called Siri and Glimstad, we hereby move this court for leave to file an amicus brief on amici curiae, friends of the court, to appoint a special master and an independent monitor to compel the DOJ to make a mandatory production under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So we're going to pull it away from them, and we'll be in charge. Not Thomas and Roe, but some independent person. We saw this happen with the Trump documents, the classified documents that the DOJ got. We had Judge Eileen Cannon appoint a special master because the DOJ, we had doubts because they're so corrupt and filled with garbage, that they were actually honoring things like attorney-client privilege. Like they raided Trump's house, they got all these materials. Some of that was privilege. Some of that was executive privilege, attorney-client privilege. Some of those things were actual presidential records, and the president had all sorts of protections on there. But the
I'm doing
said,
DoorDash.
Okay, we'll filter things out. We're not going to violate his rights or privileges or anything. You can trust us with the documents. Cannon said, no, we don't trust you with the documents. We're going to appoint a special master to handle this and really make sure that things are done appropriately. And the Court of Appeals said, no, you can't do that. You can't take it away from the DOJ and give it to a special master, Cannon, and reverse it.
Trying to alone.
So that sets a pretty nice precedent that the DOJ is in control of the documents. Now, this is a little different because we have an act of Congress here where Trump did not have that. But now we'll see what this judge does. And honestly, these judges might do it. This is the Southern District of New York. They're no fans of the Trump administration. So we'll see what they say. They're going to have to balance the rapid release of information against the interests of protecting people inside the file so that the redactions can occur in time. District courts, writes Thomas and Roe, have wide discretion to hear from us. The congressmen here are members of the U.S. House of Representatives. We sponsored the Epstein Transparency Act, which passed almost unanimously in Congress. As advocates of greater transparency, we seek leave to ask this court to appoint a special master and an independent monitor to compel the DOJ and Pam Bondi to make mandatory productions under
this thing has home internet
possess
that they use, not a hotspot.
As leads of the act, and therefore we request this court to
What's the speed limit here? It says your speed. It says 35 through here.
To file a brief outlining why the court should appoint an independent body to oversee the DOJ. Now, defendant Maxwell, she takes no position about this. She is not objecting or agreeing with us. And the DOJ Pam is advising us, our lawyers, that they don't want a special master, they don't want an independent monitor, because they'll lose control. And so for the reasons set forth below, the court should grant leave and allow us to have the opportunity to file this, and then of course you can appoint a special master. A lot of case law they cite. They say, see, here we're trying to advise you about what we're doing on this from Congress. We urge you to take additional steps to make sure the DOJ follows the law. Now, as outlined in greater detail in our proposed brief, but we don't have a full argument right here for you, the DOJ has not made adequate disclosures under the Act. So therefore, we wish to propose that this court appoint an independent body through your inherent powers to oversee the DOJ's production of these documents that Congress gave you under the Act. Our brief is limited.
Sadly, internet sucks no matter what you have, unless it's the
Congressman respectfully request give us permission
must.
to file our request, signed here by their attorney for Roe and Massey, Aaron Siri, who is admitted to the Southern District of New York. And so there's been a back and forth on this for a little bit. And they also submitted their memo, which is now dropped. And the DA has also given an update. The DJ is saying, listen, Judge, we are aware on this, that they're just a of material.
Did it cut out? All right, we're not going to stick with that screen because it's going to keep cutting out every time I walk away. I'm going to switch to Sirius.
It takes just seconds to start. Let President Trump know you stand with Newsmax. It's for real news, for real people. Make the switch today.
And welcome back to the David Webb Show. Mary Walters sitting in for David Webb, working out some technical issues. There's somebody didn't feed the squirrel, so he's not running on the treadmill. But we will have, hopefully, Senator Tommy Tuberville with us shortly. In the meantime, and we're going to talk to him. I just want to very quickly, just give you a little bit of a preview here, because Senator Tuberville was in front of the Supreme Court yesterday, and he was saying, because he's a coach, and he didn't just coach men's sports, he coached women's sports, and he says, I coached for the right for women to have an opportunity like the men. It was the greatest thing that ever happened in sports, was giving women rights in sports, scholarships, facilities, more sports. We used to have one sport, and that was girls basketball. But now we have as many sports as the men. And now I blame, and he may not agree with me, but I blame Barack Obama for this. Right? This started with him. He was the one who decided that he was going to withhold funding from schools, right? If they did not allow men, biological men, to play in girls' sports and allow them into the locker rooms and the girls' bathrooms and everything else, and tell biological women to sit down, shut up, and take it, because we're putting the men before you. Biological boys have more rights than you. And that's what this is. And you know what's amazing to me? And I said this to Carrie Severino, if you didn't hear it. I said to her, because we were talking about this with her, I said, it's amazing that the women on the Supreme Court are going to be the ones who would vote to strip women of their rights, to not have to sit down and shut up. The left, they're so tough and they're so powerful, and you see these women out there on the streets battling ICE like Amazon warriors, right? And they're out there and they're battling. They're so tough and they're so strong. Yet they will sit down, shut up, and put their own feelings and their own rights second to a man who feels like a woman. And listen,
Guys, is Rumble working?
Who have children who are
Could you move over there, please?
And I feel sorry for the parents. A lot of them.
There he is.
Like,
thanks, Missing.
Right, and they don't know what to do, and I feel sorry for them, right? Because they're dealing with this. The parents are dealing with this as well. It's not easy, but I think it is a social contagion. Are there some? Are there some men who truly believe that they're women? Yes. Men, not boys. And I used to know, I have lost touch, two different men who became women like they had the surgeries and everything, but they had to go through years of counseling before they could get the surgery. And they were totally against this whole trend of it skewing younger and younger and younger. They had to try that. So I'm very quickly just going to see if I can pull up Scott in Kentucky. Let me see if I can get you up here. Scott, I can hear you. All right, Scott. Yeah, wait, hang on. We're going to try. I'm going to take you quickly until we get Senator. Yes, I'm going to take you quickly until we get Senator Tuberville on. Oh, he's on hold. All right. Wait, hang on. Hold on. Let me go now. We do have Senator Tommy Tuberville on the line. I'm so happy we got you, Senator. It was touch and go there for a second, but our engineers did it. Welcome to the David Webb Show. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Senator, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, so I'm doing great. Sorry for keeping you waiting. We had some problems there. So we were talking about your opinion on men playing in women's sports, biological men playing in women's sports. How amazed were you yesterday during the arguments that the lawyers arguing for these biological boys could not define gender or tell them what a woman is?
Yeah, it was. You hate to say comical because it's a very serious issue, but you look at all the.
Hey, Jacob, welcome.
And 99% of them were women, obviously, and I don't know where they're coming from. I really don't. They don't have the rights. They shouldn't have the rights to do what they're trying to push over. As I said, gender is a dream. It's a fantasy. It's a philosophy. It's whatever you think you are. And that's fine. That's what this country gives you. But God gave us two sexes called man and woman. And they didn't like that too much because not very many of these people are Christians or even know what a Christian is. But, I heard you say something about Barack Obama. You're exactly right. I can remember, again, I was coaching, and he came out when he was running for president. He's totally against, this transgender movement. And he gets in, and he switches gears immediately. Same thing, same-sex marriage. He was against same-sex marriage. And then when he gets elected, he totally flipped on that, and it was all for it. So this guy did more damage in our country, Barack Obama, everything, including sports, than you can imagine. But yesterday was the start of something that hopefully we can end this nonsense with. The Supreme Court will say, no men and women's sports. We can get it behind us where we can get back to reality where women can
PDF
and know that they can train and work hard, have the same advantages or responsibilities or that men.
Yeah. Exactly, and not be strict or have to stand off the podium because there's a man standing in number one when she really should have come in third, stripping women of that. And a lot of times scholarships go along with these athletic events, and the men are getting what rightly should have been a scholarship for a woman. And it is amazing to me that the women on the Supreme Court are going to be the ones to vote against women's rights. The irony is not lost on me. Let me ask, along the lines of Barack Obama, why do you think he did this? What was the point of this? What was the gain?
Well, he hates his country the way it is. He lied about his religion. He was a Muslim all along. I've got several clips of him saying, we're not a Christian country. Muslims have done a lot for this country. And I'm sick of hearing about this. I've been coming out against the Muslim community, not the community. It's the radicals that have taken over Europe, that are taking over the United States now, and they're teaching their kids Sharia law and going by the Quran, which is their Bible, which basically preaches death to America. Now you can do what you want in this country, but if you're not going to assimilate, we don't want you here because we got the greatest country ever. And if we got problems holding on, we got enough crazies on the left that are actually citizens of this country. So
it's nice.
Goes back to one thing. Barack Obama did everything he possibly could do to switch the scenario, anything socially in this country. And I don't understand why, other than the fact that, he was put there for that reason, and he did a pretty good job of tearing it down.
Yeah, you wrote there's a piece on radical Islam. The enemy is now inside the gates, and I believe
Senator's got the fucking radio show
and what I found
playing in the
interesting is
background
I
on
am
delay.
an inmate in the People's Socialist Republic of New Jersey, where we proudly have America's first Islamic city of Patterson, New Jersey. The police force's badges are written in Arabic. Now, I thought we had separation of church and state. What happened to that?
Well, only when it's not in their favor. Okay, this will come to a head. That's not going to happen in the southern states. It's only happening in the blue states controlled by blue governors and blue mayors. This Mondami is going to be a disaster for the Democratic Party because he's telling the people he's putting around him to run all the groups. They have no business doing what they're doing. They're not qualified, and they're just going to follow the party line that Barack Obama started along now with Mondami. I don't think they have the Democratic Party as a whole on board. I think there's still some people that believe in this country. I work with some.
Who's catching it?
But unfortunately, they vote in the same block all the time. But I think if we continue down this path, you just look at Europe, what's happening in Europe with the Muslim community and all the immigration. They have not fought back. Well, to get their countries back, they're going to have to fight in the streets. And we don't want to do that here. And so,
hey, Jody, thank you.
He wants to stop it.
Hey, if you could just pop into Rumble real quick before you take off.
And that's not what the United States of America was built on. That's not what our forefathers lost their lives for. So, President Trump is he's all on top of it. Thank God he got elected. He hasn't got elected, with Kamala Harris and that goofball Jim Walton. This would have never been found, and we've been headed down the wrong direction.
Speaking of Tim Walz, there's so many things, so many questions I have for you. Speaking of Tim Walz, did no one vet him before they chose him to be VP? The candidate for VP, was he not vetted?
Yeah, he was vetted, and there were other people that they probably wanted, but Obama wanted him because he was in the clique. He was already in the clique that they thought, we've got the Dominion voting machines, we've got the Smartmatic, we're able to get Joe Biden through in 2020. And unfortunately, American people said enough's enough. You can't cheat enough to beat Donald Trump this time. They still cheated. There's probably a dozen congressmen and senators up here right now, the Democratic side, that got elected illegally by overcounting votes on these machines, and it's just unfortunate. And that's the reason I think President Trump is helping the Venezuelan people. But I think the one thing that's going to help us in this country is
it's supposed to start tonight. These sprinkles are supposed to turn into snow. We'll see. I'm hoping to have a long haul today. Get a lot of orders in. We'll see. That is the plan. Usually when it's snowmageddon like that,
speaking of voting, what's going on with the
it gets busy. So we'll see. It's Wednesday night, pizza night. I don't know.
Yeah, why not? What? It's so annoying.
Well, because it's a 60 vote count, okay, and we can get stuff passed. We've probably got about 10 up here that are more on the Democratic side. I'm talking about the Democratic side, they're Republican side, and they're not big Trump fans. But we've all known that over the years. But again, still with those, we're at 53, and you have to have 7-4. That's the reason, and I'm telling people, and tell people back in my state of Alabama, I have been totally against busting the filibuster back when the Democrats were in charge. Busting the filibuster means that you go from a 60 vote count to just a simple majority. And they all scream and yell up here about, hey, it's tradition. We can't do that. We got to keep the power in the Senate. Folks, we don't have any power.
Right.
We don't have any power because we can't do anything. We got the White House, the House, the Senate. And what's getting ready to happen is we're getting ready to get our tails beat because we can't do the SAVE Act. Can't get these new voting bills passed. We can't get President Trump's agenda through because the only thing we've gotten done since President Trump got in, he's done it all on his own, was this one big beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut Act, or whatever we call it. And
we're really still around 40 here.
We're going to waste 3 more years sitting around going, well, we just don't want to bust the American people, and this is our last shot after President Trump's gone.
Yep.
We lose the Senate or the House, which we probably will if we don't get anything done. We can't get prices down. We can't put people in jail that should be in jail. But you got all these know-it-alls up here that want us to, it's tradition. The hell with tradition. You better save your country because we've only got a few years left. And if it doesn't happen now, we are lost, and our kids and grandkids are going to suffer in a third world state, which I call the United Caliphate of America.
Yeah, that's in that piece that you wrote. One last question. I know we don't have a lot of time here, but the Clintons are refusing to testify in the Epstein inquiry, and this plays into what we're just talking about. James Comer comes out and said he's going to take steps to hold them in contempt of Congress. I have news for you. Nobody believes that.
No, but if you were the Clintons, you wouldn't come either because they're
right.
All get out. They are just dripping of guilt. They've stolen, they've murdered, they've done everything they possibly can to stay powerful in this country, and they think they're untouchable. And so, if they were to ever come and get up there and tell the truth, which they'd never tell the truth anyway, they got in because of lies, and they've stayed in because of lies. And then you got all this bureaucracy around them that's protecting them, the FBI, the CIA. It's been so corrupt that, the cards that would fall and should fall now. I'm all for putting them and everybody in jail that broke the law. But it's never going to happen because they have the power. Even though the Democrats are not in power, they're still in power because what are we doing up here?
I got to turn around. Fucking days.
Other than
going back to the other Taco Bell.
And, they're fighting him. We more powers active. President Trump, you got to wait till 535 people vote before you can go into Venezuela or Cuba and solve problems. You got to listen to us. We were elected. Yeah, we're elected, but we don't do a damn thing up here. Sit around and just complain about President Trump in our country when we should be fixing problems every minute of the day.
No, I agree with you, and the people see it. And a lot of people say, hey, we're tired of the two-tier system of justice where Democrats are above the law, but people like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon wind up in jail for the same thing.
Mondani he's a sleazeball.
We are running out of time. I'm so sorry, but I really appreciate your time. I was really excited to be able to speak with you today, and you did not disappoint me, so thank you.
Well, we got a great country, and we just keep praying. The good Lord is looking down on us, and He's saving us as long as we can, folks. Just knock on wood and hope that people come to their senses and we get something done.
I don't even care if I do today.
Senator, thank you so much for your time.
I'm going to try and stay out of it as much as possible, especially if this side of town stays busy. Just the money's a lot better over here. Obviously, by the houses, you can tell why. Everyone's like, well, oh, wow, that dude oh, my God, he's drunk.
The best place to get life insurance is ethos.com.
That guy just drove right off the circle.
There's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions.
He took a sign out and everything.
Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Slater. Are you ready to own your own business? Mr. Sandless, the #1 wood floor refinisher in the world, is looking to open 50 new locations this year. You could be the exclusive Mr. Sandless owner right where you live. Mr. Sandless uses a wet refinishing process.
Well, at least he's not on the road anymore. Looks like he's walking around, he's staggering around.
Mr. Sandless has already refinished more than 150 million square feet of wood floors with no sanding and nothing to clean up afterwards. Here's their offer. You get the franchise, the territory, the training, the manual, the
west end of Toledo metro area. Usually the nicer towns are around. There is one nice little area right in the middle of Toledo called Ottawa Hills. But just the western suburbs of Toledo usually are western and southwest.
Get all the details at msfranchise.com. That's msfranchise.com. But hurry, as the best territories will go fast. msfranchise.com. Take a moment and think of one thing that you really wanted to do recently, but you didn't because your foot, leg, or back pain got in the way. Hi, it's Dan from the Good Feet Store, and that's why we're here, to help you get back out there. Good Feet arch supports from the Good Feet Store are designed to alleviate foot, knee, hip, and back pain, plus provide improved balance, more comfort, and, well, a better
I got one of the cheaper houses in the area.
at the Good Feet Store. individual freedom, the right to bear arms.
Jeez, what time am I supposed to be there by?
Channel 125.
12:03.
Live here.
Pick up by 12:03, it says.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm back here in Washington.
Don't think so.
Demonstrations continue against Iran's Islamic Republic regime, with judicial officials now threatening more trials, even death penalties. Here's correspondent Charles Des.
Iran's top judge has hinted at fast trials and executions for those detained in nationwide protests, even as activists say the death toll has risen to levels unseen in decades. Iran's judiciary chief made the comments about trials and executions in a video on Tuesday, despite a warning from President Donald Trump that he would take very strong action if executions take place.
Not for sale. That's a message Danish and Greenlandic officials are bringing to their talks today with Vice President J.D. Vance about Greenland. Military affairs analyst, retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, says the area is now rife with potential security risks.
Well, it is a great power competition. The Chinese tried to buy Greenland themselves through the back door. Norway, of course, or Denmark has little control over Greenland.
Evangelist Franklin Graham is issuing a call today to Christians all over the country. He's asking them to take a moment of silence for prayer at noontime in their local region to pray for a troubled country. In his invitation to pray with a repentant heart for what he calls the great sins of our nation, the head of Samaritan's Purse says in part, quote, "If you think our nation is in trouble now, just wait as our streets boil over with hate, anger, crime, drugs, and just sheer hopelessness. Is there something we can do? We have increasingly turned our backs on God and His commands, embracing godless secularism. We need to ask His forgiveness and seek His face. Pray for our leaders and pray that God will bring calm to our streets," unquote. In this moment, recalling Matthew 11:15, "He who has ears, let him hear." George Williams reporting. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Yeah, it's snug up in this parking lot. All right, I'll be right back.
It's metabolic dysfunction, and standard dieting just makes it worse. PhD Weight Loss has helped thousands fix the root cause of stubborn weight. Take their free metabolic assessment at fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. It's quick, personalized, and shows why your body is resisting weight loss, so you know exactly what to fix. Visit fixmyweightloss.com. That's fixmyweightloss.com.
And I'm Mike Slider. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife, and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Here's Rich Thomas now with the Midday Wall Street Business Report. Saks Global, the owner of luxury retailers Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. It appears business is booming for one fast-growing no-frills grocer.
Aldi has plans to open more than 180 U.S. stores this year. The chain, with U.S. operations based outside Chicago, went on an expansion tear soon after the inflation began to spike in 2021 and opened a record number of new stores last year. Food inflation has slowed, but it was still up 2.4% last year, according to U.S. data, and has soared about 25% since the pandemic.
Correspondent Bill Alexander. China's trade surplus has surged 20% to a record $1.2 trillion. And that's even with President Trump's tariffs. Chinese exports rose 5.5% last year. I'm Rich Thomas. You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com.
The fusion of rational thought and political analysis. This is what your brain has been waiting for. News, politics, and issues enhanced. You have just joined the Willtown Majority.
Your generation of great talk radio. The founder of the News School. That is me. Major Locals, 3X and Patriot. Phone lines, as always. 695 Patriot 957-2874. The email
Just spell my name right, W-I-L-W at localmajority.com. Individual Patriot First, Conservative Second, Republican. The most popular program offered by SiriusXM Radio because it's based in one thing and one thing only. apostate with a lazy eye and a hairline and censor and ADHD and severe anxiety. That person could roll around in their electric wheelchair. Wait, you know who I am? And you wouldn't be able to say anything about it. Now, this whole thing about ICE shooting moms. ICE is like shooting women. I'm sorry, what happened to Ashley Babbitt? What happened to that West Virginia National Guard troop woman? I apologize if I forget her name. That's terrible. I don't say her name. But these things only matter when they're convenient. If an illegal immigrant murders a woman, like, oh, I don't know, Lincoln Raleigh, well, then it's right-wing outrage. And you're condemning all undocumented immigrants. Here's another training tactic they use. If one person in a MAGA hat does something, it's all of MAGA. If one person on the left does something, it's just them. It's just them. It's not the movement at large, it's just them. We have one bad actor. And that's how they play this all the time. So now ICE is a terrorist organization that is systemically executing people. I'm going to tell you something right now. The Democrats wanted this to happen. They absolutely wanted this to happen. And they wanted it to be a white woman. Lesbian. You know, I've always made jokes about, can you major in lesbian poetry? What are you going to do with that degree? Well, apparently. Now, again, it is not good that she is dead. It is not good. Actually, it is tragic. She left her children in school knowing full well, as a mom, that she was going to confront law enforcement illegally. Again, this is the phony empowerment these people have. Well, I can just go ahead and block ICE vehicles, start a fight with a police officer, and I'll be okay because I'm a privileged white woman and I've been trained in the art of whatever. It doesn't work that way.
Hey, Mary.
Now, am I advocating for slapping a woman across the face? No. But what if these middle-aged, privileged, so-called educated white woman slaps you in the face? She has no right to do that. And I have a question for you, Democrats. Now that you're using what they did to Nick Sherman, surrounding his vehicle, this is what I said to my wife. What if my wife did shout something out the window with my son in the car? Are they allowed to throw bricks through her window? Are they allowed to beat her to death? What would you do? What do you do? What is your training? And don't think the soft hands of people like Jamie Raskin are unaware of what happening here. I ask you, Democrat protester, if you're going to attack a vehicle, what do you do if there's a child in the back seat?
Yeah, they're pretty busy. It's lunchtime.
Shaking vehicles and jumping up and down on hoods. This is where
I did put in some things to let them know that it was running late, so I'm not too concerned.
Or drive away. You don't have.
I'm generally on time though, so even if
you don't have a right to jump on the hood of my car. You don't have the right to frighten my child. You don't have the right to threaten my life. I don't owe you 1 second of my life. Well, it's just a car. It's not just a car. It's a principle. You are threatening me with the possibility of deadly force, and I'm going to use deadly force to protect me and my child. Well, that is an object in a red state.
Looks like GPS is off a little bit. It had me still a quarter mile away.
They are wrong. That's the end of the
So I
story.
guess it's just
The arguments on this radio program cannot be broken. Sirius XM Patriot. It's the NFL Playoff Divisional Round on Sirius XM. Saturday at 4:30 Eastern. The Bills heading to Denver to face Bo Nix and the Broncos. Saturday,
The 49ers visit the Seahawks. 3 previous times that they've won the #1 seed, they've gone to the Super Bowl every single time. Find your game at SiriusXM.com/sports or search for the teams on the SiriusXM.
I didn't even know there was trailer park over here.
Analysis on NFL Radio, Channel 88.
Yeah, I'm excited. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife, and 4 kids. The best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. There's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S.
You got a fucking car here. Why the fuck isn't he driving Taco Bell?
Hi there, I'm Stu Sakowitz, owner and inventor of
Hang on.
Valley Orthotics. I'm a licensed professional, and if you're struggling with foot pain, plantar fasciitis, you need to call me for a free consultation. I even answer my own phone, 866-443-7463. They're $99, and if I can't make your pain go away, I will happily refund your money. Or go to PineValleyOrthotics.com and order a pair today. Your feet will thank you as much as I do. Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too. Newsmax has been terrific. President Trump is right. Millions like you are tuning into Newsmax. You're watching Newsmax on cable. You're going to our streaming channel, Newsmax 2. And you're downloading our free Newsmax app on your smartphones and TVs. Reuters Institute says we're now one of the top news brands in the nation. Every night, watch great shows with Rob Schmidt, Carl Higbie, Rob Finnerty, and more as they expose the big media lies, the Washington swamp. And they're never afraid to talk about faith, freedom, and the values that made us great. Find out why Newsmax is the fastest growing news channel in America. Make the switch today and join our news revolution. Hit Newsmax on cable, on streaming, and download the free app today. It takes just seconds to start. Let President Trump know you stand with Newsmax. It's for real news, for real people. Make the switch today. Fed up with stubborn earwax? Get Wax RX from Dr. Easy. Dr. Easy professional ear washers have been used over 40 million times by medical professionals. Now you can get the same results at home with Wax RX, the personal ear wash system. Just like our professional ear washers, Wax RX flushes away stubborn earwax without a trip to the doctor. Don't be fooled by store brands and cheap knockoffs. Pull into a Walgreens or a Walmart right now and get the original doctor-invented Wax RX in the ear care aisle. Conservative voices built on freedom.
Oh, she added a tip. Nice.
Driver in this country, I can tell you the gas, the fuel prices are considerably lower now under Trump than they were under Biden. Secure borders, a sound fiscal policy, and fair and verifiable elections.
Join the conversation.
The unions will never let anybody
It's in the same trailer park.
their piece of the pie and protecting the way.
Your voice is heard here.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Patriot, Channel 125.
Why did it disconnect again?
Here's something that doctors know most
Oh, we're good.
never talk about. How stress from work, finances,
Looking for
family, doesn't disappear at night. Follows you into the bedroom. Suddenly,
the
your
next
mind
place
lets
here.
your body what it used to do naturally.
Next one's a very large order, so.
Doctors look for treatments that help both the brain and the body.
44.
And that's where Rugiet Ready comes in. Unlike Viagra and Cialis, Rugiet Ready is a next-generation prescription that helps prime your brain for arousal and increased blood flow. It uses 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 minute that dissolve under your tongue so it absorbs fast. Most men are ready in about 15 minutes on average. Over 150,000 men have already switched. A board-certified doctor reviews your health online. If it's appropriate, your prescription ships discreetly to your front door. Visit Rugiet.com/willcount. Rugiet.com/willcount for 15% off your first order. RUGIET.com/willcount. RUGIET.com/willcount. Individual results may vary. Rugiet Ready is a compounded prescription that is not FDA approved. Visit Rugiet.com for full safety information. The chemistry device in the war of words. The Will Count Authority.
All right. No, I'm not out of breath. I'm good.
Headline ABC
Just sighing.
New San Francisco. San Francisco lawmakers vote to create reparations fund for black residents without initial funding.
Trying to figure out why my navigation went to a bright screen.
On the table after the Board of Supervisors
Let me
final approval Tuesday.
pause orders for a minute.
The board is to create a fund aimed at addressing harms created by
all right, let's figure out why
city policies. The measure does not allocate any initial.
Yeah, that last one added an extra $350 on my tip. That was cool. All right, let's get out of here, out of the driveway, and then figure out what's going on with my nav.
To receive future contributions, whether through city appropriations or private donations. They've got an $18 billion budget hole in the state. So they don't have the money in San Francisco. They don't have the money at the state level. So where do they think
what happened? Did it update or something?
When we just started a framework for reparations, but we don't have any actual money for private donations.
General.
Then that's not really reparations. That's just one person giving another person money. 18695 Patriot 957-2874. You cannot make this stuff up.
Map display.
Now, wait a second. Hey, one more thing on that. Kamala Harris, not African American. Now, don't say it's about slavery, because California had no participation in slavery. I don't even think it was a state yet.
I don't think it'll let me. That's so weird.
But would Kamala Harris get some of this money? She's not African American. And I'm not doing it again, but during the campaign, we played clip after clip after clip after clip of radio and TV interviews where she was running for district attorney and all that. And they
dark mode on.
African American, and she never corrected them. So what if you have someone in San Francisco that moved here from Jamaica, like her dad? Or moved here from Africa recently. Again, it's like transgender thing. These idiotic ideas. It's like
weird.
I just want to feel good. You know, I want to pay reparations. Yeah, but what about somebody?
Let me just reboot my phone.
Well,
I just switched it.
Money. You're not even talking about the descendants of slaves anymore. You're just talking. You might as well just open some more daycare centers. Quality leering reparations. So you've given all the people with macrocephaly all this free money.
Well, I think that's black, but it's not African American.
It makes no sense. You're a bigot. How am I a bigot? Pointing out.
I don't think it matters either way, though. That's what's
from the West Indies.
Hilarious about all this.
Not have been
Does it fucking matter?
A victim of slavery. Or
it only matters if they can use that to their advantage, I think.
In our history. Yes, you're black. If you move here from Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you're black. But you're not African American. If Cole Powell, not African American. Rihanna, not African American. Nicki Minaj, I don't think is African American. If you're a family immigrant,
there we go.
From one of these
there we go. It's working
that
now.
Doesn't make you African American.
Sweet. All right, let's open up Dasher back again.
And it's correct. Actually, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson used to say that about Barack Obama was running against Hillary, but we all forgot that, right? That he was not part of the African American experience because his father was from Kenya and his mother's white from Kansas. So they say, well, the first African American president, no, he's not African American. He's black, not African American. Just like you can be Jewish and not Israeli. There are Israeli Muslims who are not Jewish. So we have no standard for these things. What is transgender? Does it mean
this is a fucking huge trailer park? I didn't realize when I pulled in. This map overview of it. It goes way back there.
Chemistry? Or does it just mean like
it's like 400 trailers here.
It's mad. So anybody can just say,
Klingon American.
So if you're a dude
Presents like a dude, walks like a dude, talks like a dude. You get arrested. You say, no, you got to take me to the women's prison. No, I identify as a woman. By the way, that's another one. How long from the time you identify, when does your identity kick in? Is it immediately? Is there a 3-month window? You know, like when you move from state to state, you get like 90 days to transfer your license plates and get a new driver's license. What is the standard here? We have no standard. There are no standards. Let's see. Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't know what a woman is, but willfully accepted the title of a female Supreme Court Justice. Cut 3.
This notion that this is really just about the definition of who we accept that you can separate boys and girls, and we are now looking at the definition of a girl, and we're saying only people who were girl assigned at birth qualify.
Assigned? What do you mean assigned?
Absolute nonsense. Assigned.
Yeah.
Assigned. Assigned at birth. It's just that's all that it is. It's not about hormones. It's not about chromosomes. It's not about genitalia. It's the doctor just makes a call, and that's it. That's all that is. And this woman is sitting on the Supreme Court again. Doesn't know what a woman is. Democrats don't know what a woman is, but they're all about women's rights. They're
there you
all
go.
about women empowerment.
That's about right.
But they don't know what a woman is.
On it. Yeah, I understood what you meant.
Here's Justice Alito questioning an ACLU lawyer. Cut 4.
Is it not necessary for there to be?
Is Mitty still driving? I haven't. He was driving when I was getting ready to head out.
An understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl, or a man or a woman.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that definition for equal protection purposes? What does it mean to be a boy or a girl, or a man or a woman?
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. I think that the underlying enactment, whatever it was, the policy, the law, we'd have to have an understanding of how the state or the government was just understanding that term to figure out whether or not someone was excluded. We do not have a definition for the court.
Wait, what?
We don't take issue with we're not disputing the definition here. What we're saying is that the way it applies in practice is to exclude birth-sex males categorically from women's teams, and that there's a subset of those birth-sex males where it doesn't make sense to do so according to the state's own interest.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes?
I think here we just know that we basically know that that they've identified pursuant to their own statute.
In other words, we want this, but we have no. You know, I said this on Newsmax last Friday.
Is he?
For the first time in my life.
Well, I hope he feels better, man. I hope that goes through him quick. He's not at home, is he? He's on the road, right?
Because they used that line on the basis of sex. That's the name of the movie. Her biopic on the basis of that was her entire cause before becoming a Supreme Court justice. Was fighting against anything that discriminated against women on the basis of sex. Now this lawyer for the ACLU, which Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a lawyer for, by the way. As an ACLU lawyer, I left that out in the first part. As an ACLU lawyer.
I hope he realizes he just made an illegal right turn. But going all the way into that outside lane in front of me. He's supposed to go into the nearest lane and then move over.
The movie, did you see the movie? It was a bit soppy. It was a bit schmaltzy. I didn't enjoy it, but it wasn't made for me. So on the basis of sex,
so yeah. So I know he did his pickup. So is he like just still en route and has to finish? He's probably at his time anyway. He was at 8 hours a while ago, so it's probably near his time limit.
Political equation that makes large demands.
So not feeling good, huh? That sucks.
It's like on immigration.
when they say, well, we need a legal pathway. We have a legal pathway. Millions of people just chose not to take it. Right? They make it sound like there's no lawful way to enter our country. We got to have a legal pathway. We have one. These people violated it. That's why we call them illegal. You call them undocumented. It has nothing to do with documents. It has nothing to do with documents. Being undocumented or lacking documentation. If you're driving down the road and you're stop your car, put your hands on the wheel, right? Can I tell you something? I've gotten out of tickets by simply, before the officer even comes to my car, have the window down, hands up on the wheel. Yes, officer. You know why I pulled you over? Well, I was following the two cars in front of me, and they were going over the speed limit. I guess I really wasn't thinking about it since I was just keeping pace with them. License and registration. Do you have any warrants out for you? Nope, no warrants. Here you go. License and registration, proof of insurance. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. Just keep it below the speed limit. Thank you, officer. But if I went to reach for my wallet, crap, and left it on the kitchen table, I don't have my license. Am I undocumented? I know I have a driver's license. I just don't have it with me. They make it sound like, well, these people just left their immigration papers at home. No, they had no permission to enter our country. It's not just like Immigration and Customs Enforcement, right? Yeah, I don't have my papers on. I mean, I call my wife. She'd be down here in like 10 minutes. I don't have one. They don't have them at all.
He's just long light, man.
They don't have them at all.
I just got a Burger King order up ahead, so I was heading to the right spot.
I don't need to follow
wait for this fucking light to change.
Pathway. I'm coming into your country. What are you going to do about it? When they say, I love when people say, if you support this and you support that, with I'll slap you in the face. You aren't going to do anything but anything. You aren't going to do anything. I voted for this. And if any of you have been with this program, we are coming up on the 20th anniversary, August 9th of this year. In the year 2006, I proclaimed
Where the fuck
I was
Burger King am I going to? Oh, fuck, Airport High? Yeah.
Over the Secure Fences Act. I was done.
Thought I was going to Burger King.
He said it. Now, we could dig up that show.
What fucking Burger King am I going to?
I don't think for a second that Mitt
Holland
Romney done anything
Burger
about it. I damn well know John McCain.
All right, you gonna let me go?
This is the most effective president in my lifetime. Exposing, what was it? The decision we got this morning that perhaps 10%.
Was it another Burger King? Shit, it is another Burger King.
Has been stolen. We have to cut. Okay.
Fuck this, I'm going the wrong way.
Play cut 10. Here's Scott Besson.
People involved here with the administration of these programs have tried to go back and they recreate documents, change documents, and
right?
we're not
directions. Okay.
We're going to
fucking directions didn't update. I was just saying, I knew I was in the right spot.
Press this to the fullest extent possible. And like I said, I think that this may just be, it's a cold day outside, so this could be the tip of the iceberg here in Minnesota. But it's probably may not be as prevalent, but the dollars may be bigger and larger in other states. And just to put this in perspective for American taxpayers, for American families, the GAO, the General Accounting Office, believes that there is somewhere between 300 and 600 billion of annual fraud, roughly 10% of government spending that disappears due to fraud. If we can recapture that, that is 1 to 2% of GDP.
All right, be right back.
A full 10% of a $7 trillion budget. Wait, hold on. Last budget. Let's see. Last Biden UDGET. I'm a bad type. Let's see. What was the
Biden budget pass. Am I not seeing this? Hold on. Okay, let's see. The last Biden budget, which is still in effect right now, is $7.3 trillion. Try to imagine 10% of that, which would be would be the GDP of an entire nation. Stolen. Think about that. And how long has this been going on? I don't know. But an entire 10%? Canada's total budget, a total GDP, is $2.39 trillion. And we're talking about 10% of a $7.3 trillion budget. Stolen, fraud, grift, laundered, lining the pockets of NGOs, immigrant rights groups, academics, everybody taking a bite of your ass. Makes you feel good when you pay taxes, doesn't it? And if you listen to some of these people, you don't pay enough. The budget isn't big enough. We went from a $4 trillion budget to a $7.5 trillion budget in about 2 years. That was Biden's goal. Some of that money went down the rabbit hole of green energy, grants to companies that went bankrupt like Proterra, everything and anything and everything. Billions of dollars going overseas to these fraudulent NGOs and fake organizations. And Donald Trump, I mean, look at how much is happening right now. Taking on Iran, taking on Venezuela, using the Abraham Accords, changing the regional politics of the Western Hemisphere, pushing out the socialists and communists. Finally addressing the immigration crisis we have and the theft of tax dollars. One man is doing all of this. Think Mitt Romney would have done that? No. He wouldn't be a bad president, but he wouldn't be this. John McCain would be just as bad as Biden on the border. I'm sorry to break it to you. Did George W. Bush do any of this? No. This is the most effective president in my adult life. Reagan was out of office when I was 16. This is the most effective president since I am old enough to vote, which was 1990. I look back now and my instincts were right. This country would have been better off if Ross Perot won the 1992 election. And second South from the South. God bless America, right? And all these Democrats want to do is impeach him because he's exposed every piece of garbage and piece of trash on the left. Buckle up because we're going to get more. Let me say something before I go to break. Exposing all of this theft, that's your money. You know, the whole idea of there being 2/3, I'll pick it up on the other side, and I'll get calls. We're right, they're wrong. That's the end of the story. The arguments on this radio program cannot be broken. Sirius XM Patriot.
Your 2026 fitness journey deserves a better soundtrack.
Stop walking.
Find it with over 20 app-exclusive workout channels, including channels built to walk, jog, and run. Listen now for a limited time on Channel 105 and wherever your workout takes you. With the SiriusXM app.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Slater.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-475-1818. That's 800-475-1818.
You don't need a lecture with your coffee. You need something that shows up strong, fast, and unapologetic, just like you. That's what you get with Black Rifle Coffee's ready-to-drink cans. No brewing, no waiting, no fluff, just ice-cold, hard-charging coffee. Roasted in America by veterans, not brand consultants chasing TikTok trends. We don't do fads. We don't bend the knee to culture. We back the flag, the military, and the Americans who make this country work without making a scene about it. If you're up before dawn, on your feet all day, running your own business, or just done with overhyped cafe culture, this can is built for you. Espresso with cream, caramel vanilla rich mocha, and the 300 milligram heavyweight for when your day comes out swinging. Grab it, crack it, get after it. Wherever you're going, BRCCRTD goes with you. Black Rifle Coffee, veteran founded, American roasted. This is America's coffee. Find it cold and ready at Walmart, your local convenience store, or online at blackriflecoffee.com. All right, let's talk reality. It's January, and while you're making resolutions that you probably won't keep, your car has a different agenda. It's plotting to spend your money. You might have a fresh start, but you're driving the same old vehicle. And the simple math is this. The older that car gets, the higher the probability of failure. Look, arguments can be broken. I mean, not here. But reality cannot. Do not let a blown transmission blow up your budget in 2026. They protect hardworking Americans. I'm talking about CarShield. CarShield protects hardworking Americans with low-cost month-to-month plans and a true price lock guarantee. The rate you lock in now is the price you pay for as long as you cover that car. In this economy, that's tactical leverage. It includes 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car benefits. Stop hoping nothing breaks this year and start the year protected with CarShield. Get your free quote and 20% off today. That's carshield.com/willcow. carshield.com/willcow or call 800-619-6488. 800-619-6488.
Seattle, Washington, or George Washington. You decide. The Will Cow majority.
All right, phone lines, 1-695 Patriot 957-2874. I am not a sports fan, but I do have friends that are former professional athletes. Does anyone remember John Rocker? John Rocker apparently went to some Somali-owned daycare center in Ohio and knocked on the door. And I was texting back and forth with a friend. I don't know if you remember his quote. Imagine having to take the 7 train to Shea Stadium looking like you're in Beirut next to some kid with purple hair, next to some super queer with AIDS, right next to some dude who got out of jail for the 4th time, right next to some 20-year-old mom with 4 kids. It's depressing. I'm not one to promote podcasts, but riding the subway with John Rocker, where he rides the subway and interviews his guests, would be stellar. First guest, Eric Adams. 16695 Patriot 9572874. Let's see, who do we have here? Mike, California, first up on the Will Majority. Go ahead.
Hey, well, Cal, you were talking the other day, or yesterday actually, about the men being married to women with higher profile jobs.
Hmm? I said women who have academic pedigrees. I don't know that higher profile is a fair thing.
Well, she's got an academic pedigree, and I'm just a plumber.
Yeah, you're just a plumber. You probably make more than she does.
No, sir, I do not. And that's the thing.
Move to New Jersey then.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. In California, I should make a lot more, but out here, the industry is so flooded with people. But what my point is that because I am a plumber, my wife sits at home and she does her job, stay-at-home worker and mom in the morning. But it makes it where I'm an inadequate part of the family because obviously she thinks she's a breadwinner and she has to do the mom duties along with, in the morning only. But it does create issues. It really, really does. And it's a crazy world we live in nowadays.
It's funny. Our vice president of programming here said the other day, he goes, every plumber I know has a shore house.
I have a river house, but that's in Michigan.
Okay. Well, I think the cultural divide or the social divide, I thank you for the call. And it's unfortunate that some women think because they went to college, marrying a man who owns a business or is a self-starter or is in the trades, who probably will make more money than her, right? If you have women that go into social work or early child education, all necessary, not slamming it, just saying, thinking that a man who might be a good husband, if you were to allow him to be a suitor, thinking he's beneath you because he owns a plumbing business is ludicrous. But that's the divide that we're facing right now as women have well overtaken men in university enrollment. Let's see, Liz, Pennsylvania, you're on the Will Majority. Hello.
Good morning, Andrew. Happy Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I heard there's some scuttlebutt happening out in California again, where these kids, there's like a couple million kids sign up for community college or whatever.
I just got to jump in here. It's actually Wednesday.
Huh?
You said happy Monday.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm a truck driver. I don't know what the hell day it is.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Anyway, sorry about that. Hey, they get the grant money for them to attend these schools out in California, and then they unenroll. So they get the 18 grand in aid, and then they're no longer enrolled. Did you hear anything about that?
I did not.
Yeah, I did. I just heard it this morning. So take it for the rate it's worth because it was on Fox. So
you're talking about the age-old scam where some of these people apply for college loans and then just don't pay it back and they just run with the money.
Yeah, well, they're getting grant money, so they're getting state money and then ultimately federal money, and then they're not going to the school. And some of these are so fictitious names; they're fictitious names to the point where they're even coming from across the pond. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, where are our safeguards? I mean, you just let anybody apply to your school and go check them out?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, have a nice day.
You too. Thank you. Let's see. Do we have time? Mark in Minnesota. Go ahead.
Hey, Andrew, just a couple of quick things. To answer your question, what do you do? And I got this off the TV show Blue Bloods. Better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And then with this whole shooting, and this is very, very important, and I really hope somebody out there that has the authority can hear this when I say this. He never puts himself in front of that vehicle. He is actually standing still, kitty corner in front, but of her slamming the gas, putting it in drive. He never walks in front of that car. She puts him in front of that car. And that's extremely important when it comes to a defense for him.
Well, I will say this. I don't know about your kids. My kids fight getting on the bus in the morning, right? But sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So this morning I had to drive my two daughters. My son got on the bus, and I'm coming up to the drop-off point at the middle school, and wouldn't you know it, there's a police officer standing in the middle of the road with his hand up because he was letting the buses out. And then he has his hand up, standing. Now, when they say, why would a police officer be standing in front of the car? Well, if you come here to New York City, you'll see NYPD traffic walking right out into the road and put their hands up with their safety.
He was never standing in front of the car. If you slow the video down now that you know what to watch for, you can see it clear as day from every one of those videos. He is never, ever, ever once standing in front of that car. When she backs up and puts it in drive,
well, let me ask you something.
In front of that
what
car.
Difference does it make? You're right, but what difference does it make? She aimed the vehicle at him. If he was standing directly in front of her or slightly off to the side, either way, you can't weaponize your.
Wow. I thought Taco Bell could be incompetent. Those people inside that Taco Bell are fucking bad.
They think that's okay because now they're giving ICE agents permission to run people over when they're standing in front of their vehicles, right?
I don't like Burger King, man. I've been sick the last couple times I've gone to Burger King.
They give ICE agents permission to run them over, right? Because he should have got out of the way, right? So I think it's funny that they say that because, you know, when the shoe's on the other foot, you know, it's not okay. But, yeah, this guy was never in front of her vehicle, and some prosecutor is going to try to assert that that's why he got hit in the first place, because he put himself there, and that he should have never shot because he put himself in danger. Well, that's just not the case. He never, ever puts one foot in front of that vehicle. It's all her backing up and at the angle and the direction her wheels are turned. And again, if you watch this video, you can see it clear as day in slow motion. He never steps in front of that car. It's her.
You're getting super technical. I get it. I appreciate it, but you're getting into minutia here. This is part of the training. Hopefully, Cash Patel has his own Larry Gratwell, who infiltrated the Weather Underground. They need someone to get hands and eyes on their training materials. Second hour next, Sirius XM Patriot.
At LensSeek, we know running a business takes heart, hustle, and sometimes a little help. That's why we stand with you with our exclusive AI lending platform, connecting you to over 100 funders. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with a minimum annual revenue of $500,000, you can get up to $1 million in funding in as fast as 24 hours. No collateral, no prepayment penalties, no red tape.
Okay.
Cost or obligation at LensSeek.
Yeah, it's getting temperature dropped severely. Remember, I said it was like 40 degrees. It's already down to 32. It dropped 8 degrees in what, an hour and a half?
Life of quiet desperation, no purpose, no power, no peace. Enough. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Become the most dangerous man in the room.
Franklin County, that's like Columbus.
This new special report will show you how fast. The art of toxic masculinity. This special report is for ambitious, driven, and generous husbands, fathers, and male entrepreneurs only. Kings, not cupcakes. Champions, not chumps. If any of this turns your stomach, I recommend a hard pass. Spend your money on milk and cookies. You'll be much happier. Are you ready to become the most dangerous man in the room in the next 21 days? Go to kingmakerbook.com. Kingmakerbook.com. That's KINGMAKER book.com. Do it now before this special report is banned from the general public.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees, no obligations.
Yeah, the wind's picking up pretty good here, too.
Your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
And that rain's turned into sleet.
Limited government, economic opportunity.
We are.
It's not drop sitting anymore. It's little ice pieces.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm live here in Washington. Vice President Vance is meeting with Danish and Greenlandic officials today in Washington. They're talking about President Trump's insistence on controlling Greenland. Military Affairs Analyst, retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, told the Salem Radio Network that climate change actually adds veracity to the president's claim that the region presents a new security challenge.
Of course, the Northwest Passage, now that you have transportation able to get through the former ice-covered regions that are now receding.
President Trump has cited threats from Russian and Chinese ships in the area. Denmark's prime minister is warning, though, that taking the island by force could end the NATO alliance altogether. Demonstrations continue against Iran's Islamic Republic regime, with judicial officials now threatening more trials, even death penalties, to quash dissent. Here's correspondent Charles De La Dessa.
The US-based human rights activist news agency now says the number of dead has climbed to over 2,570. The figure dwarfs the death toll from any other round of protests of unrest in Iran in decades and recalls the chaos.
You know, it's just little bits hitting the little frozen bits hitting the windshield.
Trump was informed on the number of deaths. He warned Iran's leaders.
You can see it when I stop.
Any negotiations and would act.
You can hear it.
Nancy Hagan,
it's not bad yet.
The New York State Nurses Association says none of the hospitals have agreed to additional bargaining sessions since Sunday.
We are ready to negotiate. We are ready to care for our patients.
The strike involves 15,000 nurses, including Roy Fermel.
We're out here to stand as long as we need to get a better contract, a fair contract.
Private nonprofit hospitals have brought in replacement nurses. Julie Walker, New York.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
Have you noticed losing weight is harder than it used to be? You're eating better and exercising, but the scale barely moves? The real problem isn't willpower, it's metabolic dysfunction. And standard dieting just makes it worse. PhD Weight Loss has helped thousands fix the root cause of stubborn weight. Take their free metabolic assessment at fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. It's quick, personalized, and shows why your body is resisting weight loss, so you know exactly what to fix. Visit fixmyweightloss.com. That's fixmyweightloss.com.
My name is Whitney Allen. I'm a widow. My husband Brian died. Never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
There's a piggy up ahead. According to Waze.
President Trump took the stage yesterday in Detroit, where he talked about the many benefits to the economy.
In the coming weeks, I will be laying out even more plans to help bring back affordability. And again, remember, that's a fake word by Democrats. Prices were too high. They caused the high price.
And the president says that he tried to blame affordability. His administration. Luxury retailer Saks Global has filed for bankruptcy protection.
The privately held company that owns Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the Southern District of Texas. Its top executive stepped down earlier this month as the company struggled with debt it took on for its $2.65 million purchase of Neiman Marcus in 2024. The company is facing increasing competition as it tries to winnow down its heavy debt load, while many of its customers have refused to pay much higher prices. Rich Thomason reporting.
Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com.
The fusion of rational thought and political analysis. This is what your brain has been waiting for. News, politics, and issues. Enhanced. You have just joined the majority.
Your generation of great talk radio. The founder of the new school. That's me, Andrew Mulkow, Sirius XM Patriot. Phone lines, as always. 526-95 Patriot, 957-2874. The email, somebody right, WILKW at localmajority.com. Yes, com. Individual Patriot first, conservative second, Republican third, and working every single day to make this the most popular program offered by Sirius XM Radio, which is based on one thing and one thing only. And that is rational farm. So welcome to the Will Capital.
Ooh, Chinese does sound good.
Well, the bodies are piling up in Iran. I know because I sat with him when he said it. Donald Trump is not a natural-born interventionist. But what is laughable, and I'm not going to claim to be an Iran expert. That's why I've got a CIA station chief on hold here. But what I do know is the Democrats told us, Obama and Biden told us, that if we entered into the Iran nuclear deal without a vote in the Senate, a non-binding treaty, that the Iran regime would be a better behaved regime. Now, I can imagine if we were on a panel show, the Democrats would say, well, if we stayed in the
Ever heard of Clarios?
none of this would be happening. Or, if you think like me, you'd say, it does. You can't trust them to agree to anything.
This is
and of course this would be happening. Joining me on the program right now is former CIA station chief, you got to bring him up, Scott Eulinger. How you doing, sir?
Hello there, Andrew. Great to be back.
Now, you, on the other hand, are an expert on Iran.
Right, exactly. I worked extensively against them in my CIA career, so I have a lot of one-on-one experience with them. So it's one of my personal favorite subjects, actually.
Okay, I could Google and AI this. But
Peterson Spring.
1953,
Where does it say to take it?
CIA and MI6 helped overthrow the government, right? With the kind of tactics we're actually seeing on our streets right now. They had paid for protesters and all that.
Tyler?
And
Yes,
that was
sir.
Probably kind of the first.
This man? Let me make sure it doesn't want me to take a picture. You're good.
Right on. Have a good one.
Hey, you too, brother.
It's sort of true. The whole story is the CIA wasn't involved as much as some, and British weren't involved as much as some people would have us believe. In fact, the prime minister most of the day was like an alcoholic, and he was never voted by the people in. In those days, the Iranian parliament appointed the prime minister. So, like, this guy that was stuck in there, that was threatening to, like, nationalize the oil and stuff, was never, ever the choice of the people anyway. He was choice
go or not, man? Community transit services.
So, in other words, it was
low as fuck.
The Iranian people kicked off with some help from the CIA, but it wasn't like the CIA constructed modern Iran.
Okay,
what kind of chinky chow did we get?
I read that the CIA and MI6 used some of the tactics that we actually see nowadays: paid protesters, propaganda campaigns, all that sort of thing. And that's what actually. But then what came next?
Ooh.
The Shah,
and then the Shah came in, and in fact, there's actually a great book. It's called The Fall of Heaven, and it's all about the last like 10 years of the regime, like a history of like the Shah in Iran. And in fact, the Shah was actually it was Jimmy Carter and a lot of other people who sabotaged the Shah, because basically they started saying he was guilty of wildly exaggerated, human rights. And so they basically hung him out to dry, and then they greeted the Ayatollah with open arms, because somehow that was going to be a good thing. And, 6 months later, he turns around and kidnaps 100 Americans, or 76 Americans, or whatever. So, we've called it wrong in Iran before. But in the case of what we're seeing right now is, we're seeing the people are, there's reports of more than 10,000 dead. I don't know. It's very hard to separate fact from fiction. But clearly, the Iranian people have...
For that, more than 10,000 dead.
They
were estimating up to 12 yesterday. But
look, we've got to do this, even if some of us die, because, our country is dying. And so this is really the moment. And I think now action is almost inevitable. And now with a carrier now just reporting in to the Red Sea, we're really in a position to take action more than in the prior few days.
Was it Pollyanna thinking or just stupidity that if we did the Iran nuclear deal, they would back off the weapons program and be a better player on the world stage?
Absolutely, and in fact, it was much more insidious than that. The Obama administration, with what's her name as the national
Condoleezza,
or whatever, they wanted to empower Iran. They wanted to, basically alienate our friends.
Oh
and
no,
kiss up
it's
to our
Obama.
enemies.
That wasn't Condoleezza. That was Bush. Bush was with
Because
Condoleezza.
all the Iranians do is lie, and their regime lies. And so, like, to do this, Obama even knew this. But he just wanted to empower Iran, a country which is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of Americans in Iraq, not to mention before. I mean, terrorist attacks in Argentina, terrorist attacks worldwide, deaths of U.S. soldiers. This regime is evil. And for the first time, we have a president who really understands what he's dealing with. Previous presidents, including Bush, were ridiculous with their approach to Iran. Like, basically, they feared Iran when basically, if anyone understood Iran, they knew that smashing them in the face is the fastest way to cow them. Like Reagan did, actually, when we basically obliterated the Iranian Navy in Operation Praying Mantis in 1988. We gave them the bloody nose, and they didn't come back for it.
Still says there's a cop in here. I'm going to be able to remove it now. I'm going the opposite way.
What? These people that want to play this game of global chess, and they're wrong all the time. They're wrong on Libya, they're wrong on Afghanistan. Right. But why do they do it? Like, what? There's got to be another way to make it.
It's hubris. It's just their arrogance. Like, in other words, they think that, well, I'm such a great guy. I am so smart that I am going to, like, for the first time, I'm going to make an Iranian, a Mullah official not lie. Like, they're going to fall for my charm and my intelligence. Everyone else before me was nothing, but I can do it. I mean, it's like the height of arrogance.
There's got to be a better way to move up in academia. There's got to be other agencies to work for, another way to make money and write books. It seems like these people are just arrogant and ignorant. Like, when I hear somebody say, well, that person went to Georgetown, they're an expert in Middle East affairs. Yeah, well, let them go work as a barista, because I don't want that person anywhere. Look at what Donald Trump has done here. He has taken, and I said that you can tell me this, I'm wrong. The concept of institutional thinking, it seems like in the State Department and maybe even in the intelligence services, it's just follow institutional thinking. If you're coming in from Georgetown, if you're coming in from the Kennedy School of Government, whatever it is, just do the institutional thinking thing, because why rock the boat? Just get a cushy job, work for the next 20, 25 years, become a professor and write a book.
That's right. There's no question that is exactly what's going on. I mean, intelligence services are at least as bad as the State Department. From what I understand overseas, in the 10 years since I'm out of the agency, I have friends in the State Department who have been, literally at embassies overseas saying that, Scott, the DEI mandate has penetrated the CIA even more than the State Department. That's how bad they're on board with DEI and that incompetence. So, yeah, that is a huge, huge problem. And that's why President Trump is looking at it from through fresh eyes as a former businessman. And this is another reason why, if we had a conventional president, the Cold War never would have ended. But Reagan was not a conventional president. He was a governor of California. He wasn't involved in these institutions that would have told you, oh, well, you can't do this stuff. This won't work.
Was that
what he did work.
barn or a church or what? Field of fear. Whoa, paintball.
These idols that these stupid institutions
like
have.
a paintball course there, a paintball competition area. That's sweet.
People into his cabinet who have a better understanding of this stuff, not just because they went to some silly university, but instead people with on-the-ground experience.
But again, what's the definition? If this class of people have been doing their thing all this time, and it's clearly not working, okay? It's clearly not working. Then why would you listen to them anymore? That's why, I know Tom Hanks is kind of, but he, we just don't like him politically. But Charlie Wilson's war, right? Philip Seymour Hoffman stole that movie as Gus Aragonés, where he's talking about, well, here's what's been going on all this time, and here's what we know. Like the whole thing of well, this is how it's been done. We have to shake this off and do something completely different. Wait, well, what's the benefit of continuing to do something that's not working?
I guess it's speaking gigs and money kickbacks to, and basically, because if you point out that the point but then, after a short amount of time, suddenly it flips. It doesn't change slowly. It flips. And then everyone's like, oh, well, I was on the side of right the whole time anyway. Like, look at COVID is another example, right? All of a sudden people are like, oh, well, I didn't say that 5 years ago. When you can see that is exactly, they said to take the shot, but now they just recanted and say, oh, I never said that. So it's the same kind of thing in every profession, especially in politics or international policy.
What does without regime? Because I don't think anybody wants boots on the ground.
That fucking water there. I didn't even know that was there.
What does the end of
mini
the
lake
regime
there
look like, and what does a reformed Iran look like?
Well, I think the what Reza Pahlavi, the prince, the son of the Shah, what he wants to be is basically sort of like a constitutional monarch. He's going to be the symbol of the country, the rallying point. That's what the people have been rallying around. They've been, he tells them go out on the street at 8:00 at night, and that's what they're doing. So the people are following him. He's not just some latenik showing up. He is driving a lot of this. So the idea is, I guess, he would go in there, and luckily, there are a fair amount of expatriate Iranian Americans. There are a million in the United States alone. Plus, there's Iranians who've been exiled all over the world. So a cadre of those people, maybe with some U.S. assistance, would help them to kind of, but as long as basically to reorganize the institutions, and maybe a year from now or something have an election. They need a little bit of time to stabilize everything, and there will be some violence and stuff. But basically, Iran would immediately go back to being an extremely close U.S. ally, which was the case before 1979. Interestingly, it's very interesting to see kind of the more nuanced moves of a country like Saudi Arabia, which apparently now does not want us to overfly them if we attack Iran, because that's interesting, because Saudi understands that if Iran, so in other words, that regime being in chaos is actually good for Saudi Arabia. But if Iran reverts to what it was before, then Saudi Arabia will wind up being like a second-tier ally again, which is what it was before '79. So, like, they will lose influence in the Middle East and in the world if Iran comes back online the way it was before. It has a very large and very well-educated and entrepreneurial population. I mean, the Persian people are very different from Arabs. So this is not going to be anything like a repeat of Iraq or anything like that. Like, I think they may get themselves in good shape in short order, and that will be a threat somewhat to the status quo, and a lot of countries around them will not be very happy.
All right, so we don't want boots on the ground. We don't want military there.
Right.
We do want an end to funding for Hamas and Hezbollah. Do you think there's going to be a role for Israel here, right? I don't think they're even reluctant about it.
Right, and exactly, and there is a historical tie between Israel and Persia and Iran. So, in other words, they will certainly accept a certain amount of Israeli military. I think the military would be staying away, but maybe civil assistance in getting their institutions back in line with the West would be in order. And I guess the United States would be involved in that, and maybe some other countries. Although, interestingly, like the mainstream media, like the BBC, basically has, because they sucked up to the Ayatollahs for the last Iran. They only started covering this maybe a couple of days ago when it became impossible for them to ignore. So there's going to be a lot of liberal rice bowls that are going to be broken when the Ayatollahs are gone. Terrorism is repressed, and a new Iran rises out of the ashes. There's going to be a lot of liberals unhappy with that turn of events.
Do you think Trump set up this moment? I said it. I can.
Gino's Pizza.
With the Abraham Accords, he didn't start with the big countries. He started with little ones. I mean, that's right. Very wealthy, but geographically small, and he started to ally them with Israel.
I accidentally arrived at the store. Come on.
It may not have been, and certainly Trump, as well as I've been hoping for this for my whole life. I remember very well the Iranian Revolution when I was in high school, or earlier in '79. So, I think everyone, people like Trump and stuff, has wanted this to happen. And then, of course, once these things happen, certainly Trump's place in history will be assured, because something like Iran falling is going to be the equivalent of the fall of the Berlin Wall for this generation. It's going to be tremendous. So, and I think once the world is stabilized, then he's going to really put his full attention into domestic reforms, which were
there's a Gino's Pizza here
via his social media.
You look at what's happening right now. I gotta take a break in a minute or so.
Oh, there it is.
You've got the Monroe Doctrine, which I think is apropos, that he's taken the Monroe Doctrine and kind of elevated it, which is to say we're pushing the communist and socialist influences out of our hemisphere, pushing the Chinese out, pushing the Iranians out. Venezuela was hosting Hezbollah training bases.
That's right.
The Chinese wanted their natural resources, and Trump said, you're out. You look at Javier Milei in Argentina, Jose Antonio Cast in Chile, Bukele in El Salvador. One by one, these countries are moving away from the left. And in the case of Bukele, he's turned the military on the cartels. So we're done here. We're done with the cartels running our country. The what we're seeing here. Yeah, I said earlier before you came on that my first time I was able to vote was 1992. I turned 16 in '88. This is the most effective president in my adult life.
Oh, there's no question about that. I'm a little older than you, and there's no question he is the most effective president. With what went on in Venezuela, the big question is, why the hell didn't we do this 25 years ago? Because somehow it was in somebody's interest to keep this festering sore known as Venezuela existing. They were also giving passports to Venezuelan passports to Hezbollah members to come into the United States, because President Applesauce was very happy to open the border. So, and by the way, there are Iranian drone factories in Venezuela. That's how much these people, the bad guys of the world, the Chinas, the Irans, were involved in Venezuela. And so, the governments are changing in South America, because certainly the message we're learning is those guys are the losers. The Iranians are the losers. The Chinese are the losers. And everyone wants to be on a winning team. And that doesn't require troops on the ground. That's like a change in mindset. And you're going to see more and more populations in South America turning to the alternative when they see that the communists are a bunch of losers on the world stage.
One little note, Trump has canceled all visas for Iranian nationals. Well, you don't want your saboteurs in here, right? If he's going to, you don't want any saboteurs in here. We did have that guy that drove a truck through an anti-Iranian protest who was Iranian. You don't want here while you're trying to do a soft regime change. Is that the proper way of calling it, soft?
Yeah, I would say so. And also, by the way, it's not just for Iran. I was looking at that because I have some friends overseas. I just finished writing to one of them. It's for 75 countries total,
including Somalia.
It's Mongolia, it's Moldova significantly, because my friend is the acting ambassador in Moldova. So I said, what's going on with this? But basically,
I think Trump is responding to the American people. He sees that outrage about what's happening in Minnesota, and he says, okay, first of all, stop digging the hole you're in. That's the first rule when you're in a hole. Stop digging. So, like, he's like, okay, stop. We're not granting any visas right now. Until we get this under control, it's kind of foolish. So I think he's responding to a lot of angry voters.
I got to take a break, but I will say this. With the Democrats, if they're in a hole, they bring out the auger.
All right. Let me,
I got to leave it there. Scott Mueller, former CIA station chief. Thank you for the info. Thanks for joining us.
put this in the bag. There's no room on their counter to even put the pizza in the fucking bag.
This radio program cannot be broken. Sirius XM Patriot.
Somebody called me while I was in there, too.
Mosaic. Collage of relaxing 90s and 2000s. Pop hits to melt your stress away. Sirius XM Mosaic, channel 305 on most radios, and at home on your computer, Alexa, TV, or other internet-connected devices.
Newsmax, you like Newsmax? I like it too. Newsmax has been terrific. President Trump.
What'd you get from the Chinese place?
Tuning into Newsmax. You're watching Newsmax on cable. You're going to our streaming channel, Newsmax 2, and you're downloading our free Newsmax app on your smartphones and TVs. Reuters Institute says we're now one of the top news brands in the nation. Every night, watch great
Pause
shows
this
with
after
Rob
this order
Smith,
because I got to call
Carl
somebody.
Higbee, Rob Finnerty, and more as they expose the big media lies, the Washington swamp, and they're never afraid to talk about faith, freedom, and the values that made us great. Find out why Newsmax is the fastest growing news channel in America. Make the switch today and join our news revolution. Get Newsmax on cable, on streaming, and download the free app today. It takes just seconds to start. Let President Trump know you stand with Newsmax. It's for real news, for real people. Make the switch today. When the king does not rise,
Other trailer park.
the kingdom dies. Brother, are you sick and tired of living a life of quiet desperation?
I like Detroit style.
No purpose, no power, no peace. Enough. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Become the most dangerous
Which
man
is
in
a
the
type
room
of
in the
American,
next
I
21
guess.
days.
Versus
This new
Chicago.
special report will show you how fast. The art of toxic masculinity. This special report is for ambitious, driven, and generous husbands, fathers, and male entrepreneurs only. Kings, not cupcakes. Champions, not chumps. If any of this turns your stomach, I recommend a hard pass. Spend your money on milk and cookies. You'll be much happier. Are you ready to become the most dangerous man in the room in the next 21 days? Go to kingmakerbook.com. Kingmakerbook.com. That's KINGMAKER book.com. Do it now before this special report is banned from the general public.
Hi, I'm Rob Shatless, founder of Ring Savvy, and missed calls means missed customers. Ring Savvy gives you live 24/7 receptionists so you never miss a call. Our US-based agents use your custom script, support bilingual callers, and send messages instantly. Call 833-RING-SAVVY. That's 833-746-4728 or visit ringsavvy.com/SiriusXM for 400 free minutes. Ring Savvy. Always live, always professional.
In order to preserve the Constitution, we have to think about it.
Stacey Washington.
It's our heritage. It was left to us by the founders, and preserving it involves voting, telling the truth, and looking to our neighbors and seeing how we can improve state life and life across the country. I love being able to count myself as one of those individuals who is working to preserve our heritage here in this country.
Stacey on the Right. Weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Patriot, channel 125. Conservative principles live here.
I'm going to call this person back. I just can't find the number.
What a real fresh start looks like. And for me, it begins at home. See, January puts me in the mood to refresh my space and start the year feeling grounded. And Cozy Earth is my go-to for that reason. They just announced their new Baja bedding set, and you really need to check it out. It's their first fully matching collection. Sheets, duvet cover, quilt, coverlet, all inspired by the soothing tones of Baja California. The designs are beautiful. The fabrics feel premium, and it gives your bedroom that elevated resort-like look. And the Cozy Earth product I use every day, well, it's their Luxe Bath Towels. These towels are incredible, made from a cotton viscose bamboo blend with zero-twist technology. So they're plush, absorbent, and feel
Like a warm hug when you get out of the shower. Everything comes with a 100-night sleep trial and 10-year warranty. Start the new year with real comfort. Go to CozyEarth.com. Use my code WillCount for up to 20% off. That's CozyEarth.com, code WillCount. If you get a post-purchase survey, mention you heard about Cozy Earth from me, Andrew WillCount.
The Will Authority, keeping DC off your back since 2006.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or dial 611 for customer assistance.
Maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots. Kiefer Sutherland got arrested for assaulting an Uber driver. Whenever celebrities do dumb things, I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking?
Hello, Austin Brown.
Hi, Austin. This is Norm Wicklund, Doc.
Yeah, was actually just about to call you either today or first thing in the morning.
Okay, where are we at?
Yeah, so I sent over to you guys an email just the other day.
Oh, the last one I think I seen was the 7th.
I just said, yep, Wednesday the 7th.
Okay.
So I wanted to confirm. So what happened was, like I said, we utilized that SBSS score. The SBA does to determine what I have to take as far as collateral and real estate and stuff.
Yeah.
And the score came back below the SBA's requirement.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean it's a decline on the loan application, but what it means is I have to look at yours and Bill's personal residence, and if there's available collateral, which there is, I'm going to have to pull it into the deal.
Okay.
So I wanted to confirm, that was kind of how my question was, I wanted to confirm if that was okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, his house is paid off, so. And,
yeah.
And my wife doesn't want it. That she's not including her. She bought the house before we were married, so it's only in her name. So I only get possession after she passes. So.
Yeah, so I guess the question comes back to Bill because he's the only one that's putting his house on the block.
Yeah, he's willing to do that. That's part of the deal.
Okay. If that's the case, I'll keep this thing rolling and we'll get it done.
Okay. You said something about the DocuSign. I thought I had submitted that. Did you need something for Bill on that?
Yeah. What I can do is I can go ahead and check that. I think my CLA sent that out, so let me check with them to see if it was both completed by both of you or where that stands.
Okay. Because if he needs to, we can get it done.
Okay, sounds good. I'll keep this thing rolling. Then that was my only concern that I wanted to follow up on.
All right, thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Now I'm calling Bill back. Let's see.
I actually should.
What do we have to get to?
I'm still 8 minutes away, so.
Yesterday we pointed out.
New delivery. Okay,
the
I got that.
media's running theme here is citizens monitoring ICE. Good.
144.
Citizens monitoring fraud. Bad.
Call Bill.
Ashley Babbitt. Bad. Renee. Good.
All right, I'm mute for a second. All right, I'm back.
These people, our media, look,
we're gonna take a break after this order.
And their lies.
I got to go meet up with him.
I probably wouldn't have a lot.
I already have it paused. Good.
Also, CBS News is reporting. Now other outlets have picked it up. I believe CBS was the
Lot
first
150.
that Jonathan Ross, the
can't even see the numbers
the
in
ICE
these
agent
places.
who got hit by Renee Good's car, suffered internal bleeding. Well, how is that possible if she didn't hit him with the car? If she didn't hit him with the car, where did the internal bleeding come from? Let's see. Omar, yes. Ilhan Omar says the Progressive Caucus is going to defund ICE. Now there's an effort to impeach Kristi Noem. Play cut 7.
Today, I am glad to announce that the Congressional Progressive Caucus has adopted an official position to hold ICE accountable. Our caucus members will oppose all funding for immigration enforcement in any appropriation bills until meaningful reforms are enacted to end militarized policing practices. We cannot and we should not continue to fund agencies that operate with impunity, that escalate violence, and that undermine the very freedoms this country claims to uphold. ICE has no place in terrorizing Minneapolis or any American community. Together, we will stand united to ensure we put a check on the pattern of violence and lawlessness from this administration.
Enforcing the law is now fascist, it is racist, it is militarized. The only reason why ICE is in cities like Minneapolis is because they refuse to cooperate.
Red's Irish goodbye.
With ICE, when dealing with people who've been arrested who are in the country illegally. Now, I will say this, and Bill, I sent you a clip if you could check your email. Deport them all. Deport them all. You know, funny, thought about this last night, not to be self-indulgent. Dropping my daughter off for, met my wife to have dinner near mine. We went to a municipal lot where there was both car and point-op parking meters.
A little frustrating on the financing there, but
protest in Morristown.
we're almost getting ready to go to a different financer because this guy hadn't been getting back with us.
She's like, going through a purse trying to put the quarters in there. And she's like, I'm putting quarters in, but it's not going past 30 minutes. I said, they're probably not going to give you a ticket. But then I thought about that for a second. What if you don't pay your parking tickets? That's just a civil violation, right? It's not a felony. It's not like, aggregated, driving, or drunk driving. It's a municipal civil violation. But what if your parking tickets stack up and stack up and stack up and stack up and you don't pay them? What happens? Do the police in the long term just say, it's okay. It's just an ordinance. It's not a big deal. The court is going to issue eventually some kind of action against you if you stack up your parking tickets and you don't pay them. You patently refuse to pay them. Sooner or later, you're going to have an interaction with the police because you owe the jurisdiction money. Now, again, he didn't rob anything. He didn't assault anyone. He didn't get pulled over drunk. He didn't cause a wreck. You simply parked on municipal property and didn't pay the meter. And you got issued a ticket. That ticket is the first step to an interaction with the police department. Now, I'm not going to sit here behind this mic and pretend I know every jurisdiction's, every municipality's way of going about collecting that money. But if you patently refuse to pay, you're going to face some kind of legal action. It's amazing to watch these blue cities just look the other way on people being in the country illegally. But if you're an American citizen and you don't pay your parking violations, they're going to come and get you. The Democrats just downplay. Then they say things like, well, what we need is a legal pathway. We have a legal pathway. These people chose not to abide by it. It'd be like saying, well, we have a legal way for you to pay to park in a municipal lot. There's a meter right there. Or one of those, those pay things. Sometimes they have an app, whatever it is. You pay your 50
What's it up to?
Hour, $1 a half hour, whatever it is. There's a legal pathway to park in the municipal lot. If you don't, you're breaking a city ordinance. And you know what? If you get a ticket in the mail or something, or you get the first letter from town, from City Hall, and you pay, no big deal, right? No big deal. There might be a penalty attached to it, but no big deal. But if you stack up ticket after ticket after ticket after ticket, and you're getting letter after letter after letter, funny, unlike the illegals, they know where you are. They got your license plate. They look to the registration list. You just ignore those letters over and over and over again. Penalty, compounded on top of penalty. You don't pay it.
Fucking idiot. Oh, and a brake light out.
You start parking in front of fire hydrants in the handicap zone. And you get here in New York City, they'll come by, half hour later, they'll come back from another one. You can have a car. I've seen delivery vans with looks like a hand of cards. 8 different parking tickets on the same windshield wiper. They'll just keep coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back. Now, if you're a FedEx driver, FedEx will settle with the city annually. But I'm talking about you. They don't waive the violation because you've just, you haven't paid his parking tickets in 10 years.
Only 156, that's not bad.
Been here for 10 years. You want to deport them now? All right, I'm not paying my parking tickets for 10 years.
I hadn't been doing it in a while, but my buddy, when it was super big, he was putting together a little pool.
What we have happening right now in this country is local government saying the law only applies to the citizen, which means the non-citizen is elevated above the citizen, and that's what they want. They don't like you. They don't want you in the majority anymore. They want to replace you. They don't trust you. They don't like you. They want a compliant population that will just do what they say. And you know what? Take the welfare money in return. White's at 695 Patriot, 957-2874. Aaron Wrights, former Assistant Attorney General at the DOJ Office of Legal Policy, will be joining me next. Sirius XM Patriot.
Take a ride. I want to take a little with over 2 decades of country essentials. Why do country? The channel that takes you from Toby and George to Carrie and Jason. All the way up to Luke and Thomas Red. Your husband's country. The country superstars of the 2000s are on Y2 Country, Channel 57 and the Sirius XM app.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS.
Hurry up, get up on that light.
They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm.
Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need for tax
there we go.
trust.
Nice combination, huh?
Free consultation.
Call 800-611-8892.
This is a recycle place? Oh, yeah. Man, they're lined up. Scrappers be working.
8892. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Attention investors, profits from your investment portfolio need protection. We all know stocks and equities don't just go up. At some point, a market correction takes place. You want to protect and profit, right? How? Check out the RV resort and vacation rental market. The best real estate play in the market today. It's booming. It does well in good economic times and even better in any downturn. And something that can protect and generate.
I don't know. I think they're a bit more mall cops.
Group.com to learn more. That's resortpropertiesgroup.com. Talk to the experts about how to use your IRAs, self-directed IRAs, and 401k plans. Go to resortpropertiesgroup.com or call now 888-307-1685. That's 888-307-1685.
I've seen is that almost all of them are prior military.
Don't wait. Go to resortpropertiesgroup.com, resortpropertiesgroup.com, or call 888-307-1685. Individual results may vary. Past performance is no guarantee of future results.
Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too. Newsmax has been terrific.
President Trump is right. Millions like you are tuning into Newsmax. You're watching Newsmax on cable. You're going to our streaming channel, Newsmax 2. And you're downloading our free Newsmax app on your smartphones and TVs. Reuters Institute says we're now one of the top news brands in the nation. Every night, watch great shows with Rob Schmidt, Carl Higbee, Rob Finnerty, and more as they expose the big media lies, the Washington swamp, and they're never afraid to talk about faith, freedom, and the values that made us great. Find out why Newsmax is the fastest growing news channel in America. Make the switch today and join our news revolution. Get Newsmax on cable, on streaming, and download the free app today. It takes just seconds to start. Let President Trump know you stand with Newsmax. It's for real news, for real people. Make the switch today. Breitbart News Saturday. Matt Boyle. Senator J.D. Vance. We're going to do it, Matt. We just need the people to help. Elise Stefanik, Congressman from the great state of New York. Senator John Barrasso. He is the Senate Majority Whip.
Okay, great to be with you, Matt.
Saturday destination. Let's go right back to our caller lines.
Hey, how is it feel to actually have a president?
It's amazing. Breitbart News Saturday with Matt Boyle. Live Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. East. Exclusively on Sirius XM Patriot Channel 125.
Every story, every angle, all in one place. From breaking news to in-depth reporting to the voices shaping the conversation, the SiriusXM news channels keep you informed from national.
When we get there, I'm going to probably send you guys over to the quartering.
All your news in one place, including Fox News Channel, CNN, MS Now, Fox Business, CNBC, Fox News Headlines 24/7, and more. Beginning at channel 112 and on the SiriusXM app.
Previously on the Will Count Majority.
The United States endlessly imports poor people on top of the poor people we already have. Then Democrats, in turn, claim the only way to alleviate poverty is to endlessly redistribute wealth. Nobody has an obligation to pay more in taxes because the government allowed millions of people to cross the border.
Listen to past episodes of the Will Count Majority on the SiriusXM app.
Chicago or Massachusetts, you decide. The Will Count Majority.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind some occasional travel in a job, but no, I don't want to be fucking TDY for months on end. That's okay when you're younger, man, but when you get older, that shit gets old.
For Texas.com, REITZ for Texas.com. Aaron, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing outstanding. How are you?
Okay, help me out with this one. This is, look, I think I have a pretty good bead on
we're in the hood here.
What is how does the power structure of power flow work when mayors and local
Soul Food,
say they're going to
Weston Diner. Listen, Diner.
It doesn't work that way. The reason why you're struggling to think of how that might be is because that's an upending of how law enforcement works. There's something called the Supremacy Clause, where federal law enforcement, federal law, and the United States Constitution is supreme. And so what you have now in these big blue cities...
Well, most of the units I was assigned to, I really wasn't obligated to do it that often. As long as I was passing a PT test, I really didn't have to do much organized. I mean, I was in shape, but, and I passed every time.
If you've got some, rogue Democrat in Minneapolis, or many of them here in Texas, in the big blue city.
When I was assigned to the MEDAC on post,
agents to impede federal law enforcement.
They had organized PT, but it was voluntary.
Treated as the insurrectionists that they are.
I was working 12-hour fucking shifts at the hospital.
About the Supremacy Clause, is it anything the federal government does, or is the Constitution is supreme?
During alerts and stuff.
Supreme, but if there are federal laws that are consistent or derived from constitutional provision, then those things reign supreme. So at the end of the day, look, what this administration is doing, what the American people overwhelmingly elected this administration to do, was to conduct and carry out its mass deportation operations. And so any local Democrat officials that want to stand in the way of that are violating the Supremacy Clause. They are violating the Constitution. They are inhibiting the lawful procedures of federal law enforcement, and they should be handled accordingly, whether that's arrests, prosecutions, removal from office, civil and criminal penalties, and so on and so forth.
All right, so just one little wrinkle to this. If an ICE agent's off duty, goes to a bar, gets drunk, crashes his car, he can't say, I'm an ICE agent, right? He's not on duty. This has nothing to do with the carrying out of his official duties. He's just a drunk driver. Then he could face some kind of local arrest and prosecution, right?
Yeah, of course. And it's no different. Before I was a lawyer, I was an officer in the Marine Corps. And it's the same thing. If you're off duty and you do the same thing, you get drunk, you get in a car wreck, you're drunk driving, you can't all of a sudden flash your badge or your rank and say, I'm carrying on the official duties of the United States Marine Corps or the Department of War, or whatever it may be. Of course not. That's right.
All right, so you think cooler heads would prevail, that there might be bluster coming from the mayor and the DA, but a police chief would say, sir, we can't do that. We cannot place, when the mayor of Denver said that, he was the first one to say that. And I thought to myself, the Denver chief of police is going to have to go, Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, we can't place federal agents under arrest while they are carrying out their lawful duties.
Yeah, but the problem is that a lot of these senior ranking law enforcement, I'm not talking about beat cops or police officers who are overwhelmingly patriots just trying to do their duty. They're good men and women. We love them, okay? But the problem is in these deep blue jurisdictions, those police chiefs are often political appointees of their radical left-wing city councils, city managers, mayors, county judges, county commissioners, courts, and the like. It's kind of like, let's go back to the military analogy. Do you think that Joe Biden or Barack Hussein Obama was appointing anyone to 3 or 4 star ranks in the military that were not dyed-in-the-wool hardcore leftists? Of course not. In order to get to those positions of power, you have to align yourself politically with whatever the civilian leadership is that's been elected by the liberal Democratic base in their jurisdictions. So you would think that cooler heads would prevail, and that you would have, those sorts of senior ranking law enforcement officials say, hey, Mr. Mayor, we can't do that sort of thing. But it doesn't happen. Why? Because in many instances, they are as far left as the civilian public officials that rule over them.
Okay, so let's say they go along with it, and there's ICE. They're placing somebody under arrest with a deportation.
I mean, I don't mind you taking trips and stuff like that, or even a week somewhere. But man, long TDYs.
You're under arrest.
I used to fly constantly for IT work, and man.
Well, the federal law enforcement
Come to Georgia, to Texas, to El Paso.
To disregard whatever unlawful order is coming from
San Antonio.
that's trying
Dallas,
to
Fort Worth, Oklahoma City.
The federal law enforcement's operations. Now, look, God forbid it comes to having to use force, but at the end of the day,
Not paid good enough to do it. I mean, they'd put me up in a fucking extended stay and stuff, but
is in the right, and may use whatever means necessary that are at his disposal to continue doing what the law not only authorizes him to do, but compels him to do.
So potentially we could have a shootout between two American law enforcement agencies.
and if you're single, you can't have a fucking pet when you're doing that. You're always having to worry about where you're going to put them.
The sort of incitement to violence rhetoric that we actually see coming from the left. You know, you saw Governor Tim Walz just the other day refer to this era as being very similar to the Civil War era. And so you have Democrats right now that are using Civil War rhetoric and making Civil War analogies as though they're being invaded by an outside.
Yeah, but eventually they all look the same, and
in their mind are creating the permission structure.
It's not bad. You're right. It's not bad.
And so, God forbid anything like that should happen. But as with most instances of political violence, the blood will be on the hands of the radical.
And most of the time, I'd rather just have a hotel because I barely ever cooked anything at those places. I always went out to eat.
In a tinderbox right now.
Well, there is a difference between slavery and people in the country illegally. And I've been saying that these Democrat cities and states banding together to fight against the power of the federal government constitutes its own confederacy.
I agree with that, and it's not quite a logical leap to say that they should be treated as the seditionists and insurrectionists that they are.
Okay, so if this all goes through, we have a mayor, we have a district attorney, police chief. They say you're going to go place federal agents under arrest. The hell with federal law. You just said the federal agents know their role, know the flow chart here. What
Jesus Christ.
Next? The DOJ, is the FBI going to come in and arrest a district attorney or a police chief or a mayor?
I had my signal on way ahead of time.
You know, that's what when I was the presidentially appointed Senate-confirmed head of the Office of Legal Policy under President Trump.
All right, let's get the
something similar to that. I would
stream over to quartering. I think he's up. Let me see.
To bring federal law prosecutions against these various Democrat local public officials that are seditionists and insurrectionists.
Hang on, everybody. Please ride the wave over there. I would appreciate it.
To be detained, removed from office, prosecuted, jailed, so on and so forth. They are leading a revolution within their.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. It's got Luke Rudowski on there too.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's not going to happen here at all. Ever. That's not going to happen here.
Share. Copy. All righty, everybody. Make sure you say hi to them. Let me make sure this is going to work. Yep. All right. We'll see you over there. Say hi. Tell them I sent you.